Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Blades in the Dark, Ring Down Below, an actual plays series brought to you by me, Eli Kurtz, and the Mythic Gazetteer. We are playing Blades in the Dark, a game created by John Harper and published by Evil Hat Productions. And if you are just joining us now, head back to episode 1. Do the smart thing. If you are continuing your adventures with us, then welcome. We are going to get started here in just a second, but first we're going to introduce our players. So let's start with Baron. How's it going, man?
Another day in the life of Gritty Dustball.
That's right.
It's kind of analogous to my life in some ways.
You live in a world without a sun?
Yeah. Whales that are demons. You know, the huge. I'm Baron. I run the YouTube channel RWD Gaming. We got some live plays up there. A couple new ones came out last week. Going on hiatus for a bit until I get moved to my new spot, but then should be cranking out some new material. So tonight I'm playing Jonathan Black, as I have been. He's a little bit more crazy and a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? Desperate. So happy to be here.
That's right. And next, let's do Derek.
I'm Derek. I am a small part of the Mythic Gazetteer. It's been great working with Eli, and it's been a lot of fun playing in these games. Looking forward to seeing what mischief we can get into. I will be playing Clank, the Akarosi Leech. He is the mechanic and fixer for the Electric Eek. But he gets into a little bit of mischief, so it's fun to play. So looking forward to see what happens.
Indeed, he does get up to some mischief. He's been a source of constant trouble. And last but not least, we've got Jeremy. Welcome, man.
Howdy. Speaking of constant trouble. Everybody, my name is Jeremy. I run the YouTube channel, The Erasmus Expeditions. I do a lot of live plays. I have started posting other videos talking about RPGs and showing some of the crafting and things that I've done over the years. I am also 1/3 of the Dudes of Yore podcast, which can also be found on YouTube with my buddies Jeff Doty and Chad Nick. I'd be appreciative if you go and check some of that stuff out. I am going to be resuming the role of Benji Overstreet, the spider from the Dagger Isles. His mouth often gets him into troubles because it runs faster than his racing, which is considerably fast.
'Tis true. But luckily, he's a mastermind, so he's got a plan for everything.
At least he talks that way.
Yeah. Whether it's true remains to be seen.
It's
But
how
anyway,
Clank gets involved.
Clank has a way of throwing a wrench in things. It's his favorite wrench, and he loves to throw it.
His name is Barry.
Bury the wrench. I love it. All right, so to catch you all up on what we've been through so far, we are canal racers. We have been going on a quest to increase or better the wages, hours, and conditions of the dock workers in Doskval. And things took a real turn in the last session. Our friend Benji got out of house arrest after taking the fall for the rest of the crew. And that gave Clank and Jonathan Black a chance to recover from their wounds inflicted upon them by Coil, a non-binary concealed figure who is connected to Roth Dava, who up until now has been the sort of standard bearer of the unionization movement. However, it was learned that Roth Dava is connected to some pretty unsavory anti-labor practices back in his home country of Iruvia, and our crew hunted down Coil to get revenge on the various misdeeds that Coil had visited upon them, and tortured Coil and killed them. And now they are perhaps trying to get back into life as normal. So with no more ado, we'll go ahead and get this session started. Welcome, scoundrels! Once again, KMGX and its affiliated stations are proud to present Gazetteer Radio's program, Ring Down Below, a tale of labor and struggle from the pitch-dark canals of Doskval. We go now back to the rudder of our tale, steering our craft past the trappings of crime and conspiracy to a tense gathering of illegal racers. So, we are flying in toward the city from above the water, And whereas before we've moved into the city and we've explored things recently, this time we are stopping right at the docks. And underneath one of the biggest docks, it's actually more of a wharf almost. It's elevated and it goes a good deal out into the water. There are all of these little canal skiff boats that have been gathered together down there because there's going to be yet another canal race. We actually see that our very own crew of the Electric Eek is there, right next to their boat. And let's see, Jonathan, you're probably the one who is least connected to this actual racing conceit. So what is it that you are doing here? Are you going to be the co-pilot again, or what's the story?
In my mind, me and Benji have been pretty tight-knit the last couple days since all this has went down, and though I'm not the adrenaline junkie that he is, I've been feeling the urge to get back in the saddle, if you will, the sidecar. I'm gonna get in the sidecar of the saddle again.
Of course.
So,
yeah. Okay. So you're gonna jump back into it, and now who knows? You've got some additional help that you've picked up along the road. So.
I do. I have some help, as you put it.
Yes. Perhaps.
Transparent, huh?
They're with me in spirit.
Yeah, that's it. That's the one. And Clank, what about you? What are you up to right now?
Clank is putting some last finishing touches on the Electric Eek. He's excited to try out this new fan boat fan that he is integrated into the skiff to kind of make the Eek be a little bit more amphibious.
Yeah, absolutely. So not only does the Eek rock a locomotive engine that you guys lifted from the rail jacks, but it's also now got a giant airboat fan that you can use to boost over some sections of land, perhaps. Pretty exciting stuff. And Benji, the glorious pilot of the Electric Eek and a nobleman about town, you're here despite the fact that you know Bluecoats are watching your back. What's going through your mind right now?
Benji is really kind of nervous, agitated. Ever since the house arrest, he really hasn't been himself entirely. There seems to be just a little bit of a splinter in his personality or something. He's just a little short, and he's actually kind of agitated right now at Clank. He's like, Clank, I understand. Yes, the fan is beautiful, but I need a steering wheel. I can't race the boat without a steering wheel.
Clank hands him a paddle.
Very funny. Yes, this is great. We're about to start the race here in any moment, and I can't even steer the damn boat.
Well, I
Hold on.
I got a belt. We can rack up some reins or something, right?
Impossible.
Impossible is only things you haven't tried yet.
No, the two of you are impossible, and I certainly have tried.
All right, that's fair.
I'm here. Doesn't that make me possible?
Clank, you're making my head hurt.
It's getting philosophical over here. All right.
Schrodinger's Clank.
What is real?
Benji, do you smell something burning? Or is that just Clank's noodle?
Oh, I can fix that. And he dives back in down below deck.
All right. So the boat then is like.
Have you guys seen Down Periscope, where it's got like the sonar technician guy, or no, the electrician guy? Like he's always doing something, like licking his fingers to connect two wires. That's what Clank is going to be doing during this race.
Delightful. Okay, so all three of you are going to be on boat then. That's pretty cool.
I mean, Clank put some upgrades in, but they weren't maybe all finished.
All right, well, while you're trying to rig up a makeshift steering wheel for this boat, we're flashing back to days before this race, actually just after the end of the last session, and we have some downtime actions to take care of. So I know that some of you are pretty stressed out after the last session. You want to indulge your vice, and I know that there are some projects folks want to work on. So let's just start with Clank. What is it you want to be doing right now?
So I'm going to be indulging in my vice. I'm taking a lot of amphetamines, and it's just keeping me awake. And actually, that's what happened. I took apart the electric geek and was putting it back together during this time because I was awake. I had to do something.
Yeah, of course, of course. So it's a totally rebuilt ship. Just happens to be the same parts. So why don't you go ahead and give me that indulge vice roll, and we'll see how much stress you get rid of. Oof. 1. That is not much. You think maybe you want to use your second downtime action to keep indulging
Yeah,
that?
Good grief.
Let's see, what's it gonna be?
Is he going to do it?
Another one? Are you serious? This is terrible. You, yeah, that's terrible.
That's
Clank,
five
I'm
one-
sorry
that's
for
five
you.
ones in a row.
Because
Because your test had 3 ones.
And do that one more time.
Yeah, actually, Benji has a brand new special ability that allows him to distribute 1 extra downtime action, so that's something that could happen. You can also spend coin to do another downtime action.
I am absolutely willing to activate my let's see what it's called here.
Benji shoving amphetamines down Clank.
I'll be right back.
Calculating. Due to my careful planning during downtime, I may give myself or another crew member +1 downtime action. So yeah, I'm gonna give that to Clank.
Nice. All right, Clank, so this is the moment of truth. You've got 5 stress left.
Okay, so my luck, I'm going to roll a 6.
It'd
but-
be hilarious if you overindulged, yeah. I'm waiting for it. Sure enough.
No, this isn't real.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so let's look at overindulging your vice, shall we?
The electric geek is going to run really good this time, I swear.
So
Clank's on a
either...
commission for 2 weeks.
So you've got some choices, Derek. Clank can attract trouble, in which we will select or roll an additional entanglement. Or Clank can brag about our exploits and we can gain +2 heat. Or Clank just vanishes for a few weeks and you have to play a different character tonight. Or your current purveyor of vice cuts you off. And I believe Stasia gives you your amphetamines, right?
Yeah.
So if that happens, then we got to find a new purveyor for your vices.
I probably am just going to brag. Like, I'm awake all the freaking time right now.
Sure.
And I'm just going out and I'm promoting the electric geek at the bars. I kind of forget that Benji's being followed by the blue coats, and I kind of let slip that Benji's going to be participating in this race coming up. Everyone ought to come see it.
All right, so that's some extra heat. I don't know if anybody's got the crew playbook open, but if you could open it and then add 2 heat to the counter, that would be delightful.
We had no heat before, so now we have 2.
All right. Yeah, I knew you weren't in bad shape for heat, so it's not going to be too bad. But spilling the beans like that, you are definitely going to have some more fraught situations with the blue coats during the race. So, that's your downtime rounds. I think you've done enough damage. Let's do Jonathan Black next. What do you got? Or actually, no, let's do Benji next. What kind of downtime actions are you looking at?
So I am starting a long-term project.
Okay.
I am doing what I can to dig up or to find contacts of LaRose, the blue coat who pressed me a little hard, so that I can then hopefully dig up some dirt on him and bring him down.
Cool. All right, I love that. And we had talked a little bit about this beforehand. We decided that it was going to be a 4 o'clock. And so for long-term projects, what you need to do is roll relevant ability.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's see. I would say probably consort.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, yeah. And I think it makes sense that you're rubbing elbows, you're trying to figure out, who's close to LaRose and is capable of being bought off or blackmailed themselves or something like that.
Right.
So
Okay.
consort makes a lot of sense to me.
All right. Got consort. And risky and all, the position and effect doesn't matter, or
Correct. Yeah, for long-term projects it doesn't matter.
all right. And no bonus dice. 5.
A 5. Okay, so you get to fill in 2 segments of that clock.
Okay, cool. And I was going to spend both of my downtime activities doing that.
Okay. So I'm going to say with this first one, you managed to identify a bunch of people who are close to LaRose, but he is an oddly fanatical devotee of the Bluecoats, and he associates with people who are in the same sort of frame of mind. Maybe they aren't Bluecoats themselves, but they still would go to the mat for law and order in the city. So it's proving a little bit difficult to identify people who are vulnerable to giving you the information you need. So the second role, I think, then would be trying to narrow it down and find those lucky few.
Okay. So, would I need to use a different ability then?
No, I think it could be consort. It would make sense that you're still rubbing elbows and trying to do stuff. You're just getting in a little closer. And I think... no, I mean, long-term projects don't really function the same way. I was going to say if you were to roll like a critical failure, 2 1s, then maybe it would be the case that the Bluecoats are onto you and the project just fails outright. But we'll just see how it goes.
Okay. I think for the second one, I'm actually going to use sway instead.
Okay, cool.
It's like charm, logic, deception, stuff like that. That is pretty much in Benji's wheelhouse as well. So,
Yeah, makes sense to me.
and I have the same value in it. So, ooh,
A
2.
2. So you're going to fill in just 1 more segment on the clock. So you've narrowed it down, whereas before you had maybe half or a dozen people, now you've narrowed it down to 5 or 6 people who are close to him, and maybe you can find some dirt on them, maybe you can pay them off or something. What is it you're looking for specifically as far as that goes? What kind of targets are you singling out?
I want to find LaRose's vice, whatever that is. If it's, chemical, if it's, nighttime companionship, or, whatever. I want to start diving into that.
Cool. I like it. Cool. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make some notes over here really quick, just about what it is you were looking for. And Black, let's go ahead and do you. What kind of down? Oh, Baron's gone. So let's see. The first time you narrowed down targets, and the second time you were finding out learning LaRose's vices. So I think you found out that he does indeed tend to frequent the brothels in the what is the name of that district? Silk Shore, on the western edge of the city. It's kind of an artist community, but it's also a really common spot for like the red light district. All right, so Baron, you've got some downtime activities for Jonathan Black as well. What do we got?
So I'm sitting pretty high at stress, so I'm gonna indulge my vice.
Okay. I wish you better luck than Clank got.
Yeah, no joke.
That's 1.
Okay, so don't just stop doing that. Fuck.
This is a harbinger of how the night's gonna go, isn't it?
Hopefully
Yeah.
you're burning all these terrible rolls now.
I doubt it. I'm gonna have to do that again.
That's a bummer.
I have to.
That's a bummer.
Bet you I get a 6. All right,
A
3.
3. Well, not terrible. So what does that put you at total?
2.
A 2. Okay. Yeah, that's nice and respectable.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So there was a lot of vice indulging last time.
I actually want to burn one of my coins to bump my attune up 1 as well
Nice.
through training.
All right,
which
so that's train
or
resolve
rather.
and advance.
So the tune is up 1, and that'll do it for me.
Nice, very cool. So you were indulging your vice a lot, smoking a lot of these electroplasmic cigarettes. Was that connected to being able to up your attune, or is that totally separate? What does that look like?
That actually has 100% to do with my kind of newfound persuasion over the Incorporeal. I've gotten a little bit better at consorting with my ghost friend here, and that's just because I keep getting high so much, I guess.
Yep.
I've been laid up. I have a spine puncture in my left leg, so I haven't had a lot to do except smoke ghost cigarettes.
That's right. Unfortunately, flashing back forward now to the docks again, it's occurring to you that you're not going to have to do a lot of walking here. You are going to be in the boat, and maybe you might benefit from having 2 fully functioning legs, but a couple puncture wounds is not going to be the end of the world for this.
That's my thought.
Now, as you guys have been working, you've noticed a few things. You've noticed, first of all, that there are a lot more dockers out than usual at these races, but bets are down. Benji, you were checking in with Salia and Spall about the races and like who's set to place in different spots in the ticket and that sort of thing. And Salia told you, kind of pulled you aside at one point. It was like, my friend, you do not understand. You see, the dockers have not had any work for them these past several days because the Leviathan hunters are no longer bringing in a lot of lightning oil or demon blood. There are those who say that surely their hunting grounds must be going dry.
Sorry, look, I can't control what money people bring in. I can put people here. They're watching the races at least. Maybe when they've got money, they can bet.
My friend, you misunderstand. Please understand me clearly. You see, what I am saying is not that you must bring in money. I am saying that I cannot give you much money if you happen to be the winner.
Well, I understand. Like what is the purse? I mean, how down is it?
Well, in a normal race, a big race, perhaps I could give you somewhere in the neighborhood of 6 to 8 coins. However, this time, I am afraid the most I could offer was 4.
He kind of looks around at some of the competition. Does he spot the grinders in Hutton?
Yeah, they're loading up a new ship. They've got a totally new boat, and it looks like it's got some pretty beefy stuff under the hood. And to complement the beefy new boat, there is a beefy new co-pilot on the ship, too. Hutton is not a small man. He's kind of lean and spare, but he's pretty tall. He's over 6 feet tall. This guy standing next to him is much bigger, and you can tell this guy is from Scotland, across the sea, in a town called Lockport. You can tell he's from Lockport because it's said that everybody from Lockport is exposed to all of this demon blood whenever they refine it into lightning oil. And so they all have these weird mutations. And this guy's got the look. His eyes are really bulbous. His skull's a little deformed. It looks like he's almost turning into a fish man or something, this guy.
He kind of scratches his forehead a little. Well, I mean, I'm here, I guess. Might as well go ahead and race. But what's going on with Hutton? Who is that? What is that? Standing beside him.
Ah, yes, the monster who is his co-pilot now. His name is Derek, and let me tell you, quite a fearsome fellow. I hear that he was involved in a bar fight just last night. You may have known the place. Black as ink, yes?
Yeah, we've been there before.
He killed 4 people there in this bar fight with his bare hands, no less. They were breaking bottles over his head and they were throwing knives at him. It seemed to not matter at all. He would smash their skulls together and break their bones like twigs. It was a sight to behold, I am told.
So we don't do shit in the blue coats show up. And this guy kills 4 people and he's fine.
Well, I did not say the Bluecoats did not show up, my friend. I just said that he is here now, despite the rumors from last night.
Well, that don't make no fucking sense to me.
Well, we'll just have to keep a close eye on him.
Yes, indeed. Yes. And so you wrap up your conversation with Salia and you go on your way. You also notice that Tasho is there, and Tasho triggers a memory in Clank. 2 memories, in fact. First of all, and most importantly, you know that Tasho owes you a sandwich.
Okay, thank you. So when Clink sees Tasho, when she looks at him, he mimes eating a sandwich. It was like,
You have never seen a human give you such an exaggerated eye roll. It's astounding.
I walk up. I don't notice. I walk up to Tasho's boat and I give it the once over and pat the nice Eek engine that I helped give Tasho.
Yeah, well, you notice too that the Eek is pretty much the only really nice thing on the boat at this point. Tasho had some pretty impressive backing in the form of Mr. Fitz, whom you met on that fateful barge adventure. Or pleasure barge adventure, that is. And you convinced Mr. Fitz to move away from Tasho and no longer support her. And so now her boat, whereas every other time you've seen it, it's always been in immaculate condition, freshly repaired, parts replaced, that sort of thing. It's got quite a few dings and dents on it from previous races. Races that you all have missed out on because of your other misadventures. But, yeah, she looks none too pleased to see you.
I kind of ignore her, and I'm kind of sad about the boat. I mean, Clank appreciates good technology and machinery, and I mean, it wasn't the Electric Eek, but this was a nice racing skiff before. And so Clank starts, like, getting down by it and starts, like, planning out in his head, like, how he can make it better.
So you're not touching it, you're just, like, crouching down and looking at it.
Yeah, he's not going to touch it. I mean... He might touch the Eek engine because that was his baby, but I mean that's Tasha's boat. He knows not to touch that.
Right. Well, as soon as you crouch down, she gives you a little reminder. She flicks her hand, and a knife pops out from her sleeve, and she's holding it at you. And she says, "If you touch my boat, I will cut you so deep that there will be no hope for you, and that will be the story of you."
He kind of looks at her and says, "Wouldn't be the first time." And looks back at the boat and starts saying about, oh, if you did this, oh, you could get 2 more HP out of there.
You're saying this, and then you see from the other side of the boat there are these 3 other women who pop up, and they're wearing like mechanics outfits. They're all very sturdy-looking women. It looks like they've got they don't miss arm day. You know what I mean? And They pop up over the top of the boat and they're like, "Are you touching our boat? Get out of here. You go on. Get out. Get."
Ladies, I'm not touching. I'm only looking. Would you like me to touch?
They come over and they touch you. And they throw you away from the boat bodily. But like I said, you had 2 memories that came to your mind whenever you saw Tasho for the first time. The first one was that she owes you a sandwich. The second one is that over the past few days, when the dockers have been out of work and the Leviathan hunters have been not going out on their trips, everybody's been hungry and everybody's been cagey, and there have been a lot of street brawls and tavern brawls between Leviathan hunters and dockers, which is concerning because that doesn't usually happen. Usually the Leviathan hunters and the dockers have an almost eerie sense of solidarity with each other. And the reason why it makes you think of Tasho is because more than once you've noticed that Tasho has been nearby whenever these brawls have broken out.
Okay. I don't bring that up.
Of course.
I mean, I'm still quite happy that I got touched by some women.
It was not happy touches, though.
It is declined.
There was like a punch in your stitches or your newly healed scar, I guess.
It's a manly scar.
Yes, yes, it's a very manly scar, of course. But yeah, so anyway, you head back to the Eek or do whatever you do. Where do the three of you meet up again?
Is our benefactor around?
Addy Freud, yeah, Mix Freud. Let's see. Yeah, so Freud is in the vicinity, but Freud is definitely not here at the docks.
Oh, okay.
Freud is probably
Yeah,
stationed somewhere along the route. But of course, if you want to talk to them, it would be totally fine to flash back to a meeting or something.
Well, I just thought we could meet up there, but if it's not nearby, then
I think I think they're totally on their like newly repaired boat, like somewhere along the route, like
Yeah.
knowing that we're going to be going right past them.
Yeah.
In front of a crowd.
Yeah, they're situated on their pleasure barge, newly repaired, right in the channel where the canals come out into the final stretch of the race. They're ready to watch the finish line. That's a wonderful contribution there.
well, as he gets thrown away, Clank will take a chance to look at the other competition and to see what other boats are there, and if there's anything that he would be worried about.
Sure, I mean, there's a lot of familiar faces. You see Ollie Snakester, recently out of Ironhook Prison after you framed him for some of the heat that you gathered in a previous score. And Ollie's given you the snake eye, the stink eye, sorry. Slip of the
wait,
tongue. Do what?
I wave hello.
Oh yeah, of course. Ollie waves a finger back at you. You also see, you know, some newcomers that you're not familiar with. You see some folks who are brazen, some folks who are shifty, some folks who are kind of celebrating among their own crowd. And then of course, you see a bunch of the dockers gathered, and they're not exactly cheering. A lot of them don't seem very cheery right now. And very few of them are holding betting slips.
Does Hutton seem to be eyeing us?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Hutton knows that you screwed him over in that very first race we did, and Hutton looks like he's out for you for sure.
Yeah.
I don't think you have a single friend in this race at this point.
But we have fans.
In fact, so you're walking, Benji, you're walking back to the boat, and all of a sudden, like in the midst of the crowd of mechanics and pilots and stuff like that, Darrett looms up in front of you, and he's every bit of 7 feet tall. He's a tall dude and broad, and he just kind of like shoulders past you, almost knocks you on your ass, and he's like, "Watch yourself."
Yeah. I'll watch myself. I'm watching you too, Slug.
He snorts at you like a bull, and then he moves off into the crowd again.
You're a disturbing individual.
I
So,
think he's kind of cute.
in the couple of weeks since our last game, you all had talked about getting back to a race. Do you want to make that your full score, or would you rather handle that in free play and then do something else for your score? There's plenty of other stuff to do as well, of course, so it's up to you guys.
Let's kill Tasho.
Wow, drastic.
I'm just messing around. I'm up for ideas. I like the idea of doing a boat race for our score.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm definitely down for it. What is what do we gain from it? Just pure coin?
Yes. Yeah, you would get coin and some rep and potentially a lot of heat too, because this is a pretty conspicuous action and you guys are on the Bluecoats' radar. So you could stand to gain and suffer a lot from this race.
What is the score where we expand our turf?
Well, you can do that with any score. It just depends. What you have to do is declare, like, we want to expand our turf with this thing. And then you choose one of the pieces of turf that you want to expand into, and we determine how difficult that's going to be. So,
'Cause I'm down for doing a race as our score, but I think for Benji at least, generating heat right now is a terrible idea.
mm-hmm.
But even though I may not be on board right now with killing Tasho, I definitely think that there's something going on with Tasho. Maybe a connection with Dava, there's definitely something fishy going on with her.
Yeah.
But I don't know, just tossing ideas out there.
So what you could do then is do some gather information right now to see what more you can find out about Tasho, because this information that I've relayed to each of you individually, there's been enough time that you could be talking about that over drinks or wherever. I'm assuming everybody has access to the information. By the way, I'm looking at the crew playbook here. Why is this happening? That's weird. Okay, never mind. I thought that you were unable to take money out of the vaults, but that's not the case. Never mind.
I was looking at it too, and it just went up and down and up and down.
Yeah. Ignore me. So, Benji, are you interested in doing some gather information?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Just try to determine what kind of a score we might want to take.
Sure. So let me pull that open really quick, and I will help you do this thing. All right. Gathering information. So what we need to do is you ask a question, and then you make either an action roll or just a fortune roll. And then based on your result, I will tell you details about that question.
Okay. Gather information. This is Tasho. Okay. My last question that it has under gather information is what's really going on here?
That
That's the one I'm going to go for.
is an excellent question. And just so I am clear, what is here? Define here for me.
She's cagey. Her boat's all dinged up. And unless I missed the description, it doesn't sound like it was necessarily from these races. It sounds like, the last time we saw it, it looked fine and everything, and then all of a sudden, now it's all banged up and not looking right.
Yeah.
So, I think I kind of want to know what it is that Tasho's up to. What is going on here?
Certainly, yeah. So go ahead and give me a roll then. So for gather information, are you using an action or do you just want to make a straight fortune roll here?
I think an action.
Okay. That makes sense. Your actions are uniquely suited toward gathering information and
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Now, gather information is more. It's more about talking to people and all of that kind of stuff, right?
It can be. So like some examples from the book, you might attune to the ghost field to see echoes of recent spirit activity. You might consort with a well-connected friend to learn secrets about an enemy, rival, or potential ally. You might study ancient and obscure books. You might hunt a courier across the city, etc., etc. So it's really any way that you could learn something.
Okay. Because under finesse, it has something that I haven't had the chance to use yet, and it says finesse an item from someone's pocket.
Ah, okay, yeah.
And I'm thinking I'd like to attempt that.
Okay, so you want to do a little pickpocketing and see what you can find out. Are you
Yeah.
trying to pickpocket from Tasho?
You could try one of her pretty mechanics.
Actually, you know what? I think it might be better to let the roll decide. Like, depending on how well you roll, it might be that you pickpocketed directly from Tasho, or it might be that you pickpocketed from somebody just peripherally connected.
Perfect. Okay.
Cool. So go ahead and give me the finesse roll, and position and effect doesn't matter here. Just let me know
Okay.
what the result is.
Ooh. Oh. Golly.
A 2. Okay, limited. You get incomplete or partial information. More information gathering will be needed to get all the answers. So, you are walking along, and you do actually manage to pickpocket something from Tasho. Where are you both whenever you have the opportunity to do this?
I think that it's during one of these street brawls that have happened during the week, you said?
Mm-hmm.
And you said that Clank had noticed that Tasho had been nearby during each of these.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever Clank relayed that information, Benji made sure that he was in the area that a lot of these were happening. And when one of them went down, he spotted Tasho and tailed her for just a bit, so that he could try to get whatever it was that she may have had on her.
Okay. Cool, yeah. So you managed to pickpocket a trinket from her. It's like a keychain, but there are no keys attached as far as you can tell. It's just like a little fob. And it's got a particular symbol on it, but you have no idea what this symbol is. So you know that you could find out more information about it somehow, but as of right now, you're kind of in the dark. And in fact, you're not even really sure, is this an actual keychain, or is it something that has an entirely different purpose? It's a little trinket, you know?
I think I'll take it to Black.
Okay.
He's kind of our resident researcher.
Yeah, he's a real sleuth.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Black, what do you make of this? He kind of tosses the thing to him.
And you're like, fuck if I know, mate. Where the fuck did you get this?
We'll just say a little birdie gave it to me.
Right on. Would I have seen something like this before? Am I aware of these things?
Well, I think what would be best to do was for you to do your own gather information roll.
Okay.
And you can either like jog your memory, or you can maybe attune to the ghost field or something, but one way or another I can give you some information based on the result of the roll.
I think in lieu of my character's recent developments, I'm going to try and attune to the ghost field and see how my my friend Finn Colburn reacts to this thing. What he
Okay.
can tell me about it.
Sure.
So I'm gonna use a tune.
Okay. And it won't be like position and effect won't matter, so just go ahead and give me the roll and let me know what you result in. 3.
Man, we cannot roll good tonight.
Still pretty limited information, but you do get another piece of the puzzle. So what does it look like whenever you summon Finn Colburn to your side?
It's not usually something I do in front of a bunch of people. I mean, both my friends here have seen me do it. It's usually like us chilling in like the clubhouse. Because I believe this entire event was taking place in the past in flashback. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So it's usually us in the clubhouse. You know, we've had some drinks, we're relaxing, and it's like, all right, you know, you guys are there next to me, watching me. Go ahead.
To be quite honest, Clink's got to get drunk before you do that, because Clink does not like it.
I think we all have to get drunk before. I don't really like doing it, but I'm getting good at it. So there's the. So I picture us, you know, around that massive spool wheel table, a bunch of empty glasses on the spewing about, and I kind of lean back and my eyes flutter like I'm mid seizure, and I take steps into the astral plane, the veil, if you will. Actually, I think that's what they call it, veil.
Cool. So it's not just that you are summoning a ghost to you, you're also stepping kind of halfway.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like a middle ground.
Cool. And so, Clank, what does this look like? From your perspective, whenever you see Jonathan step midway into the veil.
Things are already pretty blurry for Clank, and it's almost like he can see the veil swirling in the air. It's probably not that he sees, but when Baron steps, or not Baron, when Jonathan steps through, he's reminded of something that happened recently, where this force, where Clank was twisting someone else's arm, but this force made Clink's own arm twists, and it reminds him of that, and he freaks out.
An uninvited force. I love it. Cool. So, Jonathan, when you step into the veil, something steps back into the real world. And it maybe doesn't stay there, but it is a little uncomfortable. And here in the midst of the veil, you can feel the presence of Colburn, and it's a little more solid than it would be in the real world. But it's still the case that Colburn is sort of orbiting around you in this misty sort of blurriness. And then every now and then will just solidify and will be standing there staring at you.
What do you bring to me?
He pulls out this like half physical, half, ethereal version of this trinket. All right, Finn, what can you tell me about this?
Colburn raises a finger, and there's this little arc of static electricity that jumps several feet from the trinket to his finger. He says,
I am the keeper of forbidden secrets, and you bring to me paltry news. Why do you bring a token of the Railjacks, the enemy of my kind?
Well, Finn, my old friend, simply to confirm my suspicions. And you did just that. I don't say this often, but thank you.
It is well, mortal, that you did not summon me into your world. If I had crossed the mirror for this, I would have been quite cross.
and then he fades, and you're drawn back through the veil. Almost pushed back through the veil.
Instinctually, before the conversations are over, John reaches for a cigarette, just as like a conversational nuance. And you're right, mate. That's why I met you halfway. And that's where he like fades back.
Nice, I love it. Okay, so you found out that Tasho has got this it's like a badge of the Railjacks essentially, that she carries around in her pocket. And I believe there was also some allusion to her being connected to the Railjacks on the Party Barge score as well. So this is even stronger evidence at this point. But the connection of why a Railjack would be interfering or inciting violence between Dockers and Leviathans is still an open question. Clank, maybe you've got some information you can gather?
I want to know what I can tinker with.
What you can tinker with? Shoot. You're thinking about tinkering for the sake of gathering information, or just tinkering about anything?
Oh, I can gather information with what can I tinker with here. So this might be a little bit further to the present, but as Clink is going around looking at the other boats, he's wondering what he can do to cause some mischief.
Yeah, so you're an artificer, and that means that you have a plan, like a formula that you've already developed. Is that the magnetic line thrower, or is that something that you took from someone?
No, that's my magnetic line thrower, yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so go...
I have fire bombs that I got from Tasha before. Those might come into play today. We'll see.
Indeed they might. Who knows? Let's see. So if you just roll fortune...
I'd like to know if I can spot any weakness, really, in these other boats.
Sure. If there's not an obstacle to the discovery of the answer, an action roll is called for. If it's not common knowledge, but there's no obstacle, a simple fortune roll determines the quality of the information you gather. I don't think there's really an obstacle here. You're just walking through the docks and you're observing what you might be able to tinker with, right?
Yep.
So I think a fortune roll is probably the most appropriate. And fortune is determined by your tier, your crew tier, which I believe is 1. And so, do you want to make a fortune roll? I feel like maybe Benji has some sort of special ability that improves gather information rolls that I'm just remembering now.
Yeah, I am looking at my sheet now. I have weaving the web. I gain +1 die to consort when I gather information. Consort, which I actually could have used. When you gather information on a target for a score specifically,
Well, that's kind of what this is.
and I get +1 die to the engagement roll for that operation.
Ah, to the engagement roll. Okay, so you have used consort to try and gather, or did you? You used sway.
I used consort first and then sway. No.
And then for the gather information, you actually used finesse.
Yeah, that is correct.
Sure. Well, then let's go ahead and do Clank's gather information really quickly. And there's nothing saying that you are limited to one gather information roll, so you can always make another one.
Okay. So
Yeah.
number dice 1.
Yeah. And let's see if you're rolling as poorly as everyone else is tonight. Jeez.
Yes, I am.
So it occurs to you that your magnetic line thrower attracts metal, and there's a lot of metal on these boats, but that's about as specific as the information that you're able to find out.
That's good to know, though.
Yeah, being on the boat, I mean, you could do some damage to other people. You could maybe even like increase your maneuverability with this magnetic line thrower somehow, but you're having a hard time finding really juicy information.
Okay. How can I find out the track? Like,
Oh, yeah. You know, I don't even think you would need to roll for that. It would be possible to research it ahead of time, and I think it's probably standard practice for crews to walk the route and see what's up there and that sort of thing.
okay.
Yeah.
Are there any spots that get really shallow or kind of bottlenecked to an area where it's like one boat at a time, but there's land on either side?
Yeah, well, the route isn't identical to the first race that you went on, but it definitely goes through some of the same areas. And so there are places, just like in the first one, where you have the opportunity to kind of go through a warehouse or something. And there are maybe canals that have been drained and are dry, or canals that have been filled in, or like construction going on. There are certainly places where you could make use of the airboat fan.
Okay.
Cool. All right. So, Benji, did you want to do another gather information to get a bonus on the engagement?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
But I think if I'm not mistaken, it sounds like we may have shifted our focus a little.
Mm-hmm.
I think we might be intent on trying to take Hutton out.
Oh, okay.
This is
if-
stuff Jonathan and Benji have been discussing while Clink is trying to desperately put back the electric geek.
Hey, like I said, me and Benji have been thick as thieves lately. We're plotting.
as long as Clank is not adverse to that, I think
There's-
maybe that might be our score.
There's that mutton chop freak over there. You ready, Benji? This is our time.
I mean, lots of bad things happen during illegal canal races.
See? Clank's on board already. I knew it.
Accidents happen, folks.
He is accident prone. And,
You know, I just honestly don't like the way it fucking looks at us.
well,
You got
now,
something to say?
now he's bringing in that swollen fellow.
Yeah, that Bescumberin Goblin. And
See,
the hate
I'm kind of
materials.
indifferent about him. Like I said, he's kind of cute.
Well, he's bringing him in to scare us. He probably
He's-
intends to do us
I ain't
harm, I
fucking
think.
scared. I've seen some shit. You think I'm scared of a fish, man? Ha!
Well, I'm scared of him. He's
I'm
bigger
busy
than
about
Clank.
fucking ghosts in my sleep, mate. You think I'm scared of a fish?
There's some nasty fish in those canals. I don't know.
Yeah, there's some nasty ghosts out there. Are you kidding me?
This is just a random passerby who heard you and decided to insert himself into the conversation.
Hey, you butt out.
Okay,
Well,
okay, no,
Actually, we appreciate your fandom. Come to me, Chris.
break a leg. You guys are my heroes.
You want an autograph?
That's straight. Actually,
Yeah,
Benji,
that'd be great.
Can we sell it to you for 1 coin?
I don't want an autograph from him though.
Who you want an autograph from?
You,
What are you talking about
Hey.
here?
but Clank, the eek is your fault. I would love an autograph from you. No, not your fault. Of course, that's not what I meant.
Honestly, I'm done with you. You get out of here.
What? And he looks at Clank.
Clink looks at the piece of paper the guy holds up, and he's got to think for quite a while to remember how to spell his name.
X.
C-L-A-N-K, Mike.
It's just a greasy handprint.
It's a smudge.
The guy looks down and he's like, "Oh wow, thanks, Clank."
Show your friends.
You can sell that on eBay.
Eek Bay.
Ah! Get out of here.
Actually, we're gonna stop this whole endeavor. We're hitting the market with Eek Bay. New business plan.
It's a black market. It takes place entirely on the boat, so
It's
5
like- it's
people
like
can get on
pirate-
at a time.
It's like Pirate Bay, but Eek Bay.
So they can't touch us.
All right, so this fan
Oh my
runs off into the crowd, and Benji, you wanted to ask a question about Hutton.
Yeah. Ooh. I think this could apply. What should I look out for?
Ooh, okay. Yeah, I can think of a variety of ways to answer this. Okay, so you're consorting. What does that look like in the context of trying to figure out information about Hutton? You know he's the leader of the Grinders gang.
Mhm.
And you know that the Grinders have run afoul of the Leviathan Hunters, but then all of a sudden it seemed like those wounds were smoothed over.
Yeah. Let's see. Consort with connections from your heritage, background, friends, or rivals. Okay. So I think I'm going to hit my heritage, which is not something that I use a lot. I'm from the Dagger Isles. And from what I remember, the Dagger Isles they're boat people. Like that's kind of what we do. We sail, we fish, we race. So I think maybe there's another Dagger Isles individual who maybe's done some business with Hutton. Maybe not with the Grinders individually or as a collective, but maybe with Hutton individually.
Yeah. Sure.
Maybe
So you're
somebody who's not
sharing
on
drinks with
payroll.
this guy or something like that?
Yeah, I think so. And I think I've probably been to the Dagger Isles when I was much younger. Like, I think I was born here in Duskball, but my family is originally from the Dagger Isles. And I've probably been home before whenever I was younger just to kind of see it and understand, where I came from and all that kind of stuff. So I think we're kind of talking about home, talking about the Dagger Isles.
Cool, yeah. So go ahead and give me that consort roll then.
Okay, so position and effect don't matter,
Mm-hmm.
but there is a bonus die.
Well, I think the bonus die applies to your engagement roll later if you use consort now. Let me double check that.
You gain 1 die to consort when you gather information.
Ah, no, you're totally right. So you do get a bonus die. My
Yeah, I
bad.
think it applies to both.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so 1 bonus die. Come on. No whammy. Yes!
Nice, a 6. Okay, cool. So, yeah, you are talking to this guy, and it's a really nice conversation. It goes on for hours, and then toward the end of the night, he is pretty tipsy, and he's in the bar with you, and he's like, I probably shouldn't tell you this. Nah, I'm not going to tell you this. I can't do it. I can't do it.
No, look, we're friends, right? We've done such a good job of talking, and yeah, I've told you things I probably shouldn't have.
is true. And it's only fair if I tell you things that I shouldn't. I remember you told me about that time when you picked pockets to stay off the streets because your daddy was mad at you.
It's true. It's true.
And
And I should have learned my lesson, but maybe I didn't.
And you're highborn.
Well,
I
sure.
could ruin you with that, but I would never do that because you're a really neat guy. So here's my big secret.
Oh.
I was hanging out with Hutton the other day. He's, yeah, it's true. Little old me was hanging out with the leader of a gang. I couldn't believe it. And we got on thick as thieves. We were talking about boats, because, those Scotlanders, they're all about the boats, and so are us Dagger Islanders.
Dagger Isles.
Dagger Isles. There's the Dagger Isles. And he takes another shot. He barely even waits for you to join him. He says, well, anyway, this is what I heard. I heard that this guy, Hutton, hates you. I heard he hates your guts, and he's been scheming. He almost took you down, but then you disappeared for like a month, and he had no idea where you were. But this is what he told me. He told me that he hates you because he was on the verge of something big. And because you stopped him, he wants to kill you. And he told me he's going to do it in the final leg of this race coming up in a couple of days. He was hoping you were going to race in it because he wants to take you out by any means necessary. Not just him in the boat. He's got grinders that he's going to station. And he said, they're going to grind him up, he said. That's what he said.
He's a piece of work, he is.
Don't
I
get
believe he'll try to do it, too.
I do too, and I hope you don't get grinded up because, like I said,
I don't want to get grinded up.
I don't want you to.
That's what I said.
Well, that's what I said.
Yeah, you said we're agreeing.
We are agreeing because we're
Friends.
such good friends. Here's another shot to you, buddy.
To you. And the Dagger Isles.
And he just loses it right there. You stopped him mid-shot, and he tried to stop himself, and it was too much. He tosses all of his cookies and his milkshake, and it's just all out there on the sidewalk. Because at this point, the bar's shut down. You're sitting on the curb, that sort of thing.
Hopefully it just doesn't bring the boys to the yard.
Yeah. No. Well, you did hear the blue coat whistles in the distance, so it's time to stop breaking curfew, of course. But yeah, so flashback forward to this race, and you know that Hutton's got it out for you, and Hutton is planning an ambush with more than just the boat for the last leg of this race.
You have not happened to have drawn out a map of this race, have you?
Have I?
Yeah.
No.
Ah, okay.
No. But I guess...
What are the features of the last leg of the race?
Well, it's open water. It's out in the channel by where the ships come in, and so because it's an illegal race, you're racing in and out of the docks, these really tall docks that the Leviathan Hunter ships come up against. And so you're weaving in and out of pylons and that sort of thing.
Do you actually have to, be on a set course, or you just have to get to that finish line first?
Well, it's like, parts of the race are pretty confined, and it's maybe 2 or 3 boats abreast that you could go down these particular sections. This final section spreads out, and there's plenty of room for all the racers to be side by side. It's just all the obstacles in your way that you have to navigate through.
But my point is, do I have to go that way, or do I just have to get to the finish line first?
Oh, yeah. Well, I think there's like a bottleneck that comes out into this section, and then going through this obstacle-ridden course is pretty much the straightest path between the bottleneck and the finish line. So,
Okay, but there's a bottleneck before we get there.
yeah.
That's good to know.
Okay.
Would there be a way to go around the last leg? Possibly amphibiously?
You could, it would take a special effort because there's a lot of ground. It's a pretty long stretch, this final stretch. And so you
Could
could do
I
it.
maybe have studied it enough to give us an advantage in such situation?
Yeah, I think at this point we're getting into questions that would be better served as flashbacks during the score.
Absolutely.
And so these are definitely good suggestions. I just want to save them for whatever is most efficient in the moment. Cool. And also, we've been playing for about an hour, so I want to take a quick break to refresh drinks and go to the bathroom and that sort of thing. My clock reads 8:10 right now, so let's be back by 8:15. 5 minutes or so? All right, cool. And for those of you who are tuning in, just stay tuned because we are on the prowl. Hello, everyone. We are back, and just in time for a surprise final gather information roll, and then we're going to do our engagement roll and get this race underway properly. One thing that I do want to point out to the crew of the Electric Eek is that the one piece of turf you do have is covert drops, and you get +2 coin for any score that involves espionage or sabotage. Sabotage could be a very likely thing to do during this score, so just keep that in mind. If you can guide it in that direction, you'll get additional coin at the end of this.
Sabotage?
Ugh. Clank is clutching his pearls. Oh wait, no, those are lug nuts on a string around his neck. How strange. So, Clank, you wanted to do a final gather information roll. Tell us about this roll.
Yeah, not too long ago, we had to release the menagerie of crazy animals that are in the town of Duskfall, and I'm wondering what's still on the loose.
You know, it's a good question. Yeah, so down for you who are playing, you can see at the bottom of this screen there's a map of the docks, and there is a number 4 on that map for the menagerie. That's where the animals escaped from. And you can see there's a canal right there. This race goes through that canal just like the first one, but then it turns right instead of left, and it goes a little deeper into the city before it starts to turn back. And so let me actually see if I can draw a quick map here, because I had forgotten that I had this when you asked me, Derek, so we will see. Okay, let's see here. The race is going to start right here. It's going to continue to go through here.
I'm not seeing you draw anything.
Oh, is that on the GM layer that I'm doing this? No, I'm doing it on the objects and tokens thing. Should be able to see it. Can nobody else? Strange. Well, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Let me clear these drawings. Yes, it does that. Get rid of. Yeah, it gets rid of quite a lot. Okay, anyway. So how do I get this to where you can see it? What an interesting challenge.
You
Can
see
you
the
see that?
circle that I do?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
can.
I can see that.
You can. Okay, cool. So let me see here. Clear, and the race is going to follow. Oh crap! Well, here we go. The race is going to start here. It's going to come around this way. Go through this canal. then it's
Maybe we
going
can
to
only see when
turn-
you're done drawing.
Okay. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay. And then it's actually going to go down south through Crow's Foot, double back into Silkshore, which you can see the very corner of on the bottom left of the map there. And so it's actually going to come out back this way and go under the docks to the finish point right here. So the X is the starting point and the O is the finish point. Does that make sense?
So we go through the menagerie right off. That's fun.
Yeah, right towards the beginning there. And so you wanted to see if there were any animals that were still on the loose, right? Or you wanted to see which animals were still on the loose.
Yes.
All right. So what roll are you making to determine this?
It's a prowl. Clank went out looking for the different animals.
Okay, so you're slinking through the streets of the docks. You're trying to find these animals. I like it. So go ahead and give me that roll. A 3. So it's still limited information. You know that there are some animals out there, but you don't know of any that are really super awesome or dangerous. So what I will say is that you can once, in the course of the race, summon an animal that will improve your effect by 1 position. And you can say this animal popped up to cause some trouble.
one position. Okay, improve effect by one.
Yeah,
Okay.
so like from standard to grade or from limited to standard or something like that. Cool. All right, so let's go ahead and do our engagement roll then. So who wants to roll engagement for the group? Maybe Benji?
I can certainly give it a try.
I
All
don't
right.
think any of us are in any better standing than anyone else.
No, I don't think so. Everybody's rolls have been dismal. Although Benji is the only one to have rolled a 6 all night, so
Sheesh.
no pressure, buddy.
I roll fortune off of my sheet. Is that right?
That is not true.
On the crew
Clank
sheet,
rolled a
there should
6.
be. Oh wait, no. Actually, there should be an engagement roll thing on your.
Oh, is it
Crew
the
sheet.
crew sheet?
It is on the crew sheet. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
And I will have you remember, Clank did roll a 6.
I guess you're right. Yeah. And actually, so
It was just a bad 6.
let's see here. Score.
There it is. Number of dice.
And first of all, let's determine what type of score you're going to go on. So this information is on your character playbooks. The 6 different score types are assault, deception, stealth, occult, social, or transport. I think several of these really have no place. Social and transport in particular seem out of place.
I'm thinking assault,
Yeah, I think assault.
Okay.
That's-
because we're trying to take this guy out mid-race.
Yeah. Okay. And so the point of attack is the detail that we have to determine. At what point in the race do you want to make this attack?
I think before the final leg, or do we want to wait and?
I think we should. Ooh, we could come off as self-defense if we do it during the final leg, because he's coming at us during the final leg.
Yeah. The only issue is that we're probably going to be dealing with a lot.
True. We could do it right at the beginning.
Just to be fair, there's going to be a lot less boats at the end than at the beginning. Trust me on that.
We could just do it at the beginning and count it up for as a casualty of the game.
Yeah. Or maybe like towards the end of the second leg, even. Maybe
Okay.
maybe if he does go down, it might cause confusion and mayhem amongst the ranks of the grinders.
That
Benji,
is-
you the pilot. I follow you, mate.
And so let's say that this race is going to have 4 legs. It's going to have the canal leg, it's going to have the crow's foot leg, it's going to have the silk shore leg, and then it's going to have the docks leg.
Okay, so can you kind of give me a brief description of each leg? Like, what are the features of each leg?
Honestly, that's beyond the scope of an engagement role, and I think you guys are going to have a lot of freedom to make that information up for yourselves during the race. So
Okay.
there's not a whole lot I can tell you right now.
That's fine.
Cool. So engagement, we've got the plan. It's going to be an assault. The detail is the section. Do we want to do it at the beginning, at the end? What's the consensus here?
I think middle was our.
Somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. And then item loadouts. We need to determine each character's load. I know Clank is going in heavy.
Yeah, Clank's going in heavy with
Okay.
lots of equipment and spare parts.
Cool. Benji's going normal.
Don't we count as a size less or something?
Well, you get an additional 2 because of your, I think it's thief rigging that you got from
Yeah,
your crew
there we
playbook.
go.
Yeah.
I'm going in normal as well.
Okay. Sounds good. So we've got that, and now it's time for the engagement roll. So 1 die for sheer luck, and a 2nd die for the consort action from Benji earlier. Now, is this operation particularly bold or daring? So you're racing.
I'm going to say there's actually a lot of attention on us, including the blue coats, the grinders, the dockers. We got a lot of people watching this race.
It's true.
It's very true.
and we're talking about taking out the head of a gang that already has us in their crosshairs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, even if we succeed, we're in some serious heat.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I would say we're in a pretty bold position.
Yeah, so take another die, so that brings you up to 3. Is this operation overly complex or contingent on many factors?
That's a yes and no.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think it's too complex. You're just taking somebody out. You kind of want to
We've done
avoid
this before.
blame for this, so that maybe makes it a little complex, but I don't know that it's enough to merit taking a die away. Does the plan's detail expose a vulnerability of the target or hit them where they're weakest?
I actually was going to use that in the encounter, or entanglement, rather. But
What do you mean?
I was going to study as like a flashback during the entanglement, but we kind of...
Well, that's fine. I mean, if that's something you're planning to do, then you can definitely expose a vulnerability of the target, so we can go ahead and add a die for that.
Okay.
Is the target strongest against this approach or do they have particular defenses or special preparations? The
I'm
answer
going
to
to say
that
yes for that.
is
That's a
certainly
definite
yes.
yes.
Yeah.
We've done this before to this man.
Well,
Right.
especially the hired muscle alone.
I was going to say his name is Darrett.
Right.
Yeah, right.
I guess I don't really understand what that means. What does that have to do with anything?
He's taking protective measures.
What's your name? I'm Derek. All right. Yep. Yeah, you're in. Come
You're the
protect
protective
me.
measures, are ya?
Yeah,
All right.
You sound pretty protective.
Adequate.
Derek guy.
Can any of your friends or contacts provide aid or insight for this operation? These would be the people that are on your playbook.
I mean, maybe, but we didn't really establish any of that.
Well, it's something you could introduce now if you want to take a look.
Didn't we get...
I haven't spoke with Valeris in a while.
It's true.
Then again, I do get him in trouble.
Hmm.
We did get cohorts, right?
We did get cohort.
You did.
We have
Your
thugs.
cohort are a bunch of rooks. They're Docker unionizers who are happy to spread the propaganda of their movement.
And support Electric Geek.
Sure, yeah. They could hype you guys.
Are they just face? Like, is that what they do? Just talk?
Let me look up the exact thing
think
really
they-
quickly. They
well,
are
they were
rooks,
pretty
which I
solid.
believe means they are like sneaky types. So let me double check. Con artists, spies, and socialites. So they could potentially spy for you and figure out information.
Like, where the grinders are positioned?
Yeah, for sure. So that could be another flashback then that you would invoke whenever we get to the point there.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, I'll go ahead and give you an extra die for that. Are there any enemies or rivals interfering in this operation? Take -1 die. Yes.
Absolutely.
If the rules didn't say otherwise, I would say take -2 die for this because there are a lot of rivals who are going to interfere in this situation. So get excited. Are there any other elements you want to consider? Tier, location, etc.
Is this our home turf?
It
Yes, I believe your home turf, and actually, I'm going to change the crew. So I don't know who changed it this time. It says, "I want to race, defend ourselves against Hutton, and take him out ourselves."
Oh, I did. Sorry.
Okay.
It had the last one on there, so...
So I think I'm going to change it to sabotage in the docks so that there's a record of like that is our turf and that is our special activity, right? And I think you are planning to do some sabotage here in the docks, so it makes a lot of sense to me that that would give you an additional die.
Okay.
We're rolling heavy with die.
Yeah,
So-
no joke. How many is that total?
By my count, it's 4.
Okay.
With all the up and down, that's where we're at.
Yeah, makes sense to me. So go ahead and roll that, and we'll see where we start off.
Okay, here we go.
A 5. You're in a risky position when the action starts. This is the standard for our story. So,
I feel like that was a given.
I mean, you know.
Right.
Hold on just a second here. Let me see. Sabotage. Hurt an opponent by destroying something. Yeah. Okay, so as long as you hurt an opponent by destroying something, then you will be able to get some extra coin in this thing.
Does his body count as something?
I think taking out the leader of a gang would definitely hurt that gang.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I wasn't going to be so like metaphysical with destroy something.
You're the salt of the earth, man.
Destroy their will to live.
I knew you wouldn't let us down, Clank.
All right, so let me just fill this out. Hurt an opponent or destroy something by destroying something. Okay, cool. So we launch ourselves right into the middle of the action. And I'm going to say that you are the starting gun has already fired off. It's actually not a gun, it's a flag because these are illegal races and you don't want to alert anybody. And you are flying down the canal section. It's really bumpy in this section. There are a lot of boats that are vying for position, but then it's also just cramped quarters in general. And we have Hutton up ahead of you. You all are kind of in the middle of the pack because this is a risky position. Hutton is ahead of you, and Tasho is just a little closer to you, but still up ahead of you. And then your biggest problem right now is Ollie Snakester, who you framed several sessions ago, is really trying to ram you into these docks that are sticking out into the canals. And even one time, your boat just smashed completely through it, and you lost some momentum because of that, which is what brought you back to the position you're in now. So does anybody have any actions they want to take to fix this situation?
So where are we at? Like, we're still, like, in this area?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I can attempt just a straight up finesse roll to see if I can't just outmaneuver and outpilot these fools.
Certainly.
I mean, on the other hand, I could reach over Benji and try to grab this guy with a skirmish.
Sure. Yeah, you could do that. I think you said you were thinking about bringing a gun along. You could also just shoot the dude.
I don't wanna pull my ace. in
Not
the
with this
hole.
guy. Not yet.
Not with,
We framed him. I could throw his ass in the water. I'm not
Yeah.
afraid.
Sure.
He could stand to have a trauma.
Of course. Okay, so you're thinking about maybe just like reaching over and grabbing him and grappling him somehow?
yeah, just getting in close to close combat, so it's something skirmishy.
Sure, yeah. I think you guys picked up a lightning hook at some point, right?
That sounds familiar.
I think you did. It would be on your crew sheet, I'm pretty sure.
There's something on our crew sheet about that. But
Well,
We're
maybe not then.
We'll take it.
I'm sure you would. Let me just double check here. Yeah, I guess not. You do also have this hot steam smoke screen. It's an asset you picked up a long time ago and you never actually used. So, Black, you could activate that if you wanted to.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, cool. So, what action are you using to activate this? What makes the most sense?
That is a very good question. This is not my area of expertise. I'm gonna say
you push the button.
Yeah, okay, do I finesse the button? Do I prowl the button?
Finesse could make sense. Finesse is like precision action.
Alright, well, yeah, subtle misdirection. Alright. And we are in a risky position because of our start, if I'm not
Yes,
mistaken.
that's correct. And your effect, I'm going to say here in these cramped quarters where he's right up next to you, the cramped quarters are working in your favor, but him being right next to you is working against your favor because the steam stuff, I guess it depends on where the steam stuff exits from. But I think those two balance each other out to where this is a standard effect.
Frodo.
Do you want to... oh, you already did it. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's a 2. So let's just consult the chart here. With a risky position, 2, things go badly. You suffer harm, a complication occurs, you end up in a desperate position, you lose this opportunity. I think you're going to suffer harm. This is going to be risky, so I think level 2 harm makes sense. It would be like a blast of steam. Whenever Clank was busy taking apart and putting the boat back together, he didn't put this part together quite so well. And so this hot steam that was supposed to blast out and get your buddy or your opponent here instead
It's
blasted
me.
up like all over your hands and your face. And
So I'm
I
gonna
think-
put Scalded.
yeah, and because of your special ability, that level 2 goes down to level 1, but you're still scalded. And
Fuck!
I think specifically scalded face.
Dope.
Yeah.
As if I wasn't hideous.
What was that?
My fucking face, mate! Ah!
What? Why did you? Never mind. I don't even. Want
Clank- Clank pops up. Oh, sorry about that. I meant to fix that. And he goes back down, and you hear some banging. And he says, I think I got it. Let me try it. And he's going to try it.
No!
The thing about this, like you being in the guts of the boat, is that I picture this boat being, like 3 feet wide and maybe 3 feet deep. So I imagine you're like in a spot that's only big enough for your body inside this boat.
Like I'm sliding in and out. Like,
Yeah. But it works. I'm here for it. So you want to try and like get the steam thing to work?
I'm
Yeah.
done with the Steam thing.
so I'm going to
Okay.
tinker it.
I think you can make a tinker roll to get it working, but not to also activate it. I think that would be either pretty stressful for you to do both, or it would just take 2 actions. One from you and maybe one from somebody else.
Okay, so I'll let I'll let Benji press the button next time, but I'll use my fine tinkering tools to fix it.
Okay, sounds good. And this whole time, Ollie continues to bump up against you and like bash you through stuff. It's really hard to get your bearings, and you can see that Tasho and Hutton are pulling away a little bit.
So it's a risky, still standard. I'm using fine tinkering tools.
Okay, sure, yeah. Risky and standard makes sense for me for position and effect.
Oh, okay. I was wondering if I could do better than standard. 'cause I'm
You
using the fine
can,
tinkering tools.
yeah. So the fine tinkering tools would improve it to a great effect. 4. You do it, but there's a consequence. You suffer harm. A complication occurs. You have reduced effect. A complication occurs. The steam gets repaired, and it's good to go. But then all of a sudden, there's a bolt that springs loose, and you've got a leak in the boat. And if you don't fix that, then the boat's going to start taking on water, and you're probably going to sink.
Okay. I'm going to work on fixing that.
Okay, sounds good. But we still need to activate this steam thing, and Ollie is coming after you. So what's going to be the story here?
Would it be best for me to press the button again?
I mean,
I'm scared to press the button again, but I'll do it.
Just do it, Black.
All
you
right.
can.
I'm gonna. I think I'm gonna use study for this one. Apply a deeper understanding to how this device works.
Okay.
Like almost like I'm expecting a malfunction. So
Yeah.
I'm aiming it in a way that would provide me advantage for it producing such effect.
Okay, so you're still in a risky position, right?
Yeah.
I think using study to try and make this happen is going to decrease your effect from standard down to limited.
Okay.
But if you want, you can trade position for effect, or you can push yourself, or you can take
I'm
a devil's
gonna-
bargain.
We're gonna trade position for effect to make it
Okay.
desperate.
So you want to go down to desperate and then up to a standard effect.
Correct.
All right. Do you also want to push yourself?
I'm pushing myself as is, man.
If you push yourself, it's just what is it? 2 stress.
Let's do it.
Okay, and then you can choose to either increase your position, increase your effect, or add a die.
I'm gonna increase my effect. Actually, no. I'd like to add a die.
Okay.
So 1 bonus die. Damn. 4 is the highest I've got this game. So
Well, you do it though. You do it, but there's a consequence. So you suffer harm, a complication occurs, you have reduced effect, you
I'm
end up in a
even more
desperate position.
burned.
Well, I don't think it's a burn necessarily, right? I think you're really like bracing and you're touching this button from afar so that you don't have to worry about it. And then when it happens, the steam belches out. At what point in the boat, like where is the nozzle that all this steam sprays out
It's
of?
on both sides.
Yeah, I
Oh.
almost picture like a forward exhaust. So like as we're going, it would like go off to the sides. But
Yeah.
it's kind of like belching like right in front of our face.
Okay, so I'm almost picturing, what is it that there's like a plane, a military plane or a helicopter or something that does this thing where it shoots like angel wings of signal flares out to either side. You know what I'm talking about? You ever seen that image?
I think I am.
Anyway, I'm picturing like angel wings of steam that are just like billowing out of the side of your boat here, and the boat kind of rattles as a result. But this steam attracts a flock of like humidor bats. They call
leech
them.
things that I came up with last game.
Yeah, turns out those leech fish, they're attracted to hot water. And so as soon as the steam belches out, it sprays all over Ollie Snakester. And then these leech fish leap out of the boat, or leap out of the water onto his boat and just start flopping around everywhere. They're like jumping onto his arms and he's ripping them off into the water and stuff. His co-pilot is trying to like swat him away with a truncheon that he's carrying. It's bad stuff, but he does fall back and you pull up ahead of him. So congratulations on that. We're coming now to the end of the first leg of this. Does anybody want to do any actions?
Yeah, I think I would like to try to gain some ground and catch us back up with
Sure.
the leaders.
Sure. I know.
And I will say, some animal pops up. And not the leech things. But we'll see what happens with Jeremy's roll first.
Okay. So, Jeremy, you want to pull up ahead. I know that the Eek still has this like NOS type stuff. The Eek, the electroplasmic energy kicker. I think we decided it stands for. You can use that if you want to. You can try to just maneuver. What are you thinking?
I'm gonna finesse it. I'm just gonna try good old fashioned boat racing.
All right.
You know, just cutting the corners close, looking for things I might be able to shoot between, or piers or docks I could go under, just to shave just a little bit of time and distance to try to catch up to these people.
Absolutely, sure. So you're thinking finesse. Would anyone like to assist him? You can take 1 stress and you can give him +1 die.
I think that's probably what I would do as well.
Okay.
Kind of, weighing in on the corners and leaning to the sides that he's trying to lean close to, motorcycle-esque.
Very cool. All right.
Nice.
I'm on board. Yeah, so go ahead and... What was that?
Well, okay, so I would say we're nearing where the menagerie was, and you said we're nearing the end of this canal area. So up in front of everyone, this animal pops its head up in the air, and it's odd because it's in the water, but it's all feathered, and it's like iridescent feathers, and which looks weird, and as soon as it sees like all these boats coming towards it, the water in front of it just gets all mucusy and like entangly. It's like it's a hagfish with feathers is what this is.
Okay. Yeah,
It's
that's
a giant
gross.
hagfish with feathers.
That's gross. So it was in some sort of like tank in the menagerie, and it managed
Yes,
to
and-
slither all the way to the canal.
And it's like just following the scent back to where its home was after it got out. But so that's why it's in the area.
Cool. I dig it. Yeah. So let's do the finesse roll. and you get +1 die from Jonathan Black's help, and you also get improved effect from this creature doing its thing.
Okay, so we are still at a risky position.
Yeah, you're at a risky position, and the effect would be standard, but it's going to be upgraded to great. Would you like to push yourself or take a devil's bargain or anything like that?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
All right,
That's
so let's
great.
see what this roll looks like then.
And 1 bonus die.
5s. Okay, so you do it, but there's a consequence. You suffer harm, a complication occurs, you have reduced effect. You end up in a desperate position. I'm going to say you have reduced effect. So you're racing around this corner and you're trying to maneuver it, and Jonathan Black is helping you by putting his momentum or his body weight into the thing. And you do manage to pull ahead of several different several boats, but this mucusy water kind of hits you and drags the back of the eek for a little bit, so you come out of control a little bit. Your boating skills are enough to right yourself, but while you passed a bunch of boats behind you, there are still a couple of boats between you and Hutton, one of which is Tasho's boat. So, you all speed around this corner. You're heading down this this section of the river in between, what is it? It would be Crow's Foot and... Whoa, I don't remember the name of that district. It doesn't matter.
Silk Shore?
No, Silk Shore is on the other side of Crow's Foot. This is like a municipal area, but I can't remember the name of it. It's been a long time since I've looked at the map.
Char Hollow.
Char Hollow is probably the one. Is that to the east of Crow's Foot?
It's south.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm talking about to the east.
Charter Hall.
Charter Hall, that's the one. Yeah. And Charter Hall is like a municipal district. It has its own... It's actually the oldest part of the city. It used to have its very own electric wall that protected it until the city expanded. But anyway, you're racing down this section, and the river's a lot wider here, so it's easier to maneuver. And you come into the Crow's Foot area, which requires more canals. So does anybody want to try something while you're still out here in the open river?
I'm going to fix the boat.
Ah, yes, okay, you're going to repair that hole. Good idea. Yeah, there's some mucus that got in too, so it's a little gross for you down there.
Actually, I think that helped plug the hole.
Ah,
So-
perfect, okay.
So I'm going to tinker.
That's nice and creative. I'll actually let your increased effect extend into this round as well.
Okay. So still risky for me,
Mm-hmm.
but great effect.
Yes, great effect. So things go badly. You suffer harm, a complication occurs, you end up in a desperate position, you lose this opportunity. You fix
We're
that.
gonna
How
die.
was this?
We're gonna end up dying at the end of this session.
You, so you fix that hole in the boat, but then 2 more pop open on the other side of the
But-
hull.
I'm going to resist that. So
Oh, okay, gotcha. So I was gonna say it would take you down to a desperate position, but if you want to resist it, feel free. So I think you did Tinker, which means that this is an insight roll.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
a 4. Okay, so you take 2 stress to try to rapidly patch these other 2 holes. What's that look like?
I mean, the mucus did patch the one, so I stuck my hand out into the water to get more, and to stuff it into those holes.
All right.
It
Very
expands
nice.
really well.
Yeah, absolutely. Gets all over there, and it's nice and waterproof. So you zip into the Crow's Foot canals, and in this section, it's harrowing not only because of the tight quarters again. Well, yeah, it's tight quarters, but also there are like gang members from the Crows and from the Lamp Blacks and from the Red Sashes who are all cheering and jeering at you, and some of them are like throwing their arms up in the air. Some of them are throwing bottles and cans down at people, and so it's just kind of tough to navigate through here. But maybe you could make that work to your advantage. You've still got these 2 boats between you and Hutton. Does anybody have any ideas about how to gain some ground?
Could I use my hunting pet?
Yes, you could. You could also tie that in with your special ability that you got in the last round.
That I did.
The
I
last
picked
score.
up Compel, which allows me to use a tune to the ghost field to force a nearby ghost to appear and obey my command I give it.
Yeah.
I'm also not supernaturally terrified of the ghost I summon or compel,
Yeah.
though my allies might be.
So there's this group in Doskval called the Gondoliers, and they are especially good at dealing with ghosts that are on the river, which tells me that there are a lot of ghosts in the waters. Lots of people get drowned and their ghosts just end up staying there. So it's definitely possible for you to summon a ghost from the river.
Right.
I'll let you make the roll, and then based on the result, we can let you narrate what exactly happens.
All right, so we're going with the tune. Risky position?
I believe you're in a desperate position.
That makes sense to me.
That's what your last roll was, anyway.
Effect. Standard?
Yeah.
Or would I get any bonus from using an item? Because my trained hunting pet is considered an item.
Oh, yeah. So you could go from standard to great then. So you're in desperate and great. And remember to mark experience for these desperate actions you're taking,
Yeah,
too.
I actually have one for both my tune and I think my whatever the last one was. I was
Finesse, yeah.
Yep. All right, and no bonus dice, correct?
Unless you want to push yourself or take a devil's bargain.
I can't do that anymore. So
All right. So a
4.
4. All right, you do it, but there's a consequence. You suffer harm, a complication occurs, you have reduced effect. It's going to be a complication this time. So you are racing along, and you summon up this ghost. Tell me what that looks like.
So I've actually been like reeling from the steam injury to my face
Mm-hmm.
for the last few minutes here, and it's like, I'm helping Benji the best of my abilities, like ducking and leaning, and that may actually be easily confused with the fact that I'm kind of like going into shock with this damage to my face. So it's kind of like a maybe even unconscious kind of maneuver here. I kind of like fall back into the chair limp and go into that like seizure phase that I have been going into to contact my normal contact with Finn Colburn, but there was no like build up. I'm not drunk enough or anything like this, so the effects are a little varied as I contact the spirits of the river.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. So you manage to summon up a spirit, and it bursts through the water, and it looks bloated like a drowning victim, but it also looks like it's covered in burn scars. And it flies forward and latches onto the boat in front of you, which is run by this man and woman team. And the ghost just starts like clawing all over the thing, and they start freaking out, and their boat's like careening all over the place. It starts smashing into the sides of the canals and stuff, and it eventually, you have an opportunity to get ahead of them because their speed is flagging, but you're in the complication here is that all of a sudden there's this massive obstacle between you and the next position, and it keeps bouncing back and forth. So this is going to require some pretty fancy driving.
I don't know if I like completely come to at the end of this, but sorry, Benji, you got it. Just pass him.
Just pass him, he says. Well, like, is that easy? Sure. Why not? I'll just pass it.
You both said pressing a button was easy.
Worry about that.
I didn't understand what he said.
I'm gonna fucking worry about it, Clank. My face is on fire.
So, here's what I'm thinking. It would be beneficial for you to increase your effect, right? And there are a variety of ways you can do that, but there is the magnetic line thrower that Clank's got. And he can assist you by putting it on the boat, but he doesn't necessarily have to be the one that shoots it, right?
I had an idea based on the description of the area that you...
Oh, yeah. You go for it, then.
Is the old electric wall that goes around that municipal district still have power?
Well, It doesn't traditionally, but you could have maybe rigged up a generator to cause some trouble in a flashback.
Because I was thinking maybe one of our rooks just drops a live cable into the water.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, yeah. Actually, no. Now that I think of it, that lightning wall is behind you guys because you're in the Crow's Foot canals right now.
Passed it already.
But there's plenty of room for there to be a generator where there could be a wire that gets dropped into the canals.
Okay. So maybe there is a business or warehouse or something like that that like maybe either has a lot of power or maybe maybe it's just a generator. And I think I think having them drop a line either God, I don't know. I think in front of us, and if possible, I don't know what I've got on my sheet, but I was thinking some kind of like protective coating that maybe we painted the eek with.
I mean, Clank did just put this thing all back together, and he knew you were going to do that, so he made it insulated?
Or if it's an amphibious craft, you could just maneuver it out of the water for this section.
Ooh, there you go. Yeah, let's do that.
Okay,
We went to the
cool.
trouble putting a fan on it and everything. I'd like to do that.
Sure. So this is, I think, 2 actions. It's a flashback to prime the rooks to do your thing, and then it's the maneuvering roll to actually get this done. So let's do the flashback first. Because it's a flashback, these rooks are willing to work for you, but it's not on your home turf, and it's actually in turf that's pretty hotly contested between 3 different gangs. So I think it's stressful for this to happen. I'm going to say it's going to cost you 2 stress to be able to do this flashback. Because you're sending them into unknown territory, and this is kind of not their forte either. They're schmoozers more than they are saboteurs.
Okay. Wasn't well? I guess espionage is not the same.
Yeah, I mean, espionage is appropriate for your crew, but not necessarily for this gang, right? This like group of people who are following you around.
Okay.
So what action are you using to convince them or to lead them or guide them or whatever as they set this up?
I think it's got to be sway.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, that makes sense. So go ahead and give me that roll. I think for the flashback, it'll just be risky standard.
Okay. Risky and standard. No bonus dice.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
All right, cool. A 6. So you do it. No consequences or anything. And you come up ahead and you can see this point where you see your rooks up ahead there, and they've got their cables and they're ready to drop them down into the water as soon as you give the go ahead. So what is that symbol, and what do you do to not get zapped yourself?
So I think whenever this fan starts up, it's incredibly loud. Like it moves a lot of air, and the engine or the motor that that Clank kind of built into this thing is probably is more than it's necessary to power this fan. So it's really, really loud.
You also stood on it, just so you know.
Exactly. So I think starting up that engine is kind of like the signal to these rooks to pay attention, and once we're out of the water, to drop the cable in.
Okay, cool. All right. So then the sound of the engine pushes this thing out of the water for a second, just in time for the cables to be dropped in and for you to do your thing. Is there are you using a ramp or something, or is it just sheerly the force of the fan that lifts you out of the water for a bit?
Again, I think when the fan starts up, it's kind of extreme. Mm-hmm. So I think the front of the boat comes up at least for several seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Benji's going to attempt to use that lift to actually come up onto some of these gondolas that are maybe parked along the side, kind of up onto these gondolas onto the dock where they're actually like harbored, and then up in, I think probably through a street.
Nice. Okay, cool. Yeah, there's a little side street that you bank up onto and skid across or something. I love it. So
I'm
what
hoping this is like a little park thing that it's grass, hopefully.
grass could
Well, there's no grass.
make sense. There might be like a canal side little park area that's at least dirt.
Look out. I mean, there's no sun. Maybe gravel, like a
It's-
pea stone.
It's all trash. It's all like
Ah, okay.
newspapers and
It's a cemetery.
It was a park before the world broke, and now
It's a
it's
gross
just a dump.
there you go.
I love it. All right, cool. So give me this roll. What action are you using for this?
Definitely finesse.
Okay, cool. I think the position is. Ugh. This is a big move you're doing. I think it's going to take you down to a desperate position.
Okay.
And the effect is standard because, again, this is a pretty high level maneuver you're doing.
Okay.
However, you did have this project to do the airboat fan.
Mm.
I don't know. Maybe that takes you up to great.
Could I change that in to get a bonus dice?
Let's see here. So what you could do is push yourself to get a bonus die, or you could take a devil's bargain to get a bonus die. If you push yourself, it's 2 stress. If you take a devil's bargain, then I make things harder for you.
Okay. I will push myself.
Okay?
For a
Cool,
bonus
cool.
die. Okay, so let's see. Finesse. It is a desperate position. And the effect is great, you said, because of the fan?
Correct, yeah.
Okay. And
One bonus
one
die.
bonus die. Come on, baby. Yes!
6. Okay, cool, cool. Yeah, so you tell us how this happens when it comes out without a hitch.
So, as I said, that fan starts up. The rooks kind of, are standing by. They hear the fan kick on. They realize that's the signal. The front end of this boat kicks up. I go over some of these gondolas up into this street where people are just having to like dive out of the way and scatter, these race watchers. And I'm kind of desperately trying to hold on to this thing. I've never driven it with the fan active before, so it's definitely a lot stronger than I thought it would be. I thought there would be more resistance trying to drive this thing on the ground, but all of the newspaper and trash kind of creates this almost a anti-resistant barrier, and it's just like kicking. It's just like hauling ass through this narrow little street. I think there's like cafe tables like hitting and flying out of the way, and I'm trying to like tell people to move, but then I see an opening, and I see that the electricity is no longer kind of like dancing on the top of the water and stuff, or the not electricity.
Yeah, no, it was electricity from the generator.
Yeah, but it's called something different in the setting.
Electroplasmic energy. or whatever.
Electroplasmic
Yeah.
energy. I don't see it dancing on the surface anymore, so I know that it's probably safe. And I cut over and just kind of like skip across the water a couple of times before settling back
I would
in.
say, can we go over Hutton's boat?
Well, here's the
wind.
thing. Here's the thing. Because it's a great effect. First of all, the other boat it powers down. The electric shock just totally cuts out the engine and it falls backward and everything. So that boat's out of the race for good. Now it's you and Tasho. And because it's a great effect, I was going to say you were going to land behind Tasho, but instead you come down right next to her, and the water like sprays up and splashes all over her and her 2 lady mechanics who are up in the front of the boat. So here you are, and you're blasting out of Crow's Foot. You're going back into the River Dusk proper, and you make sure as you're coming out of the canals on your way to Silkshore that you give a wide berth to this area called Tangletown, which we mentioned in the previous session. Tangletown is a bunch of half-sunken ships and like platforms and stuff like that constructed in the middle of the river, and it's considered neutral ground. No gangs do anything bad there. And there are severe consequences socially and with daggers in the dark if you break those laws, right? That unwritten rule. And so you give a wide berth to Tangletown, and then you blast into the canals of Silkshore. And Silkshore is a district full of canals. So here, the racecourse stops being so confined. And there are a lot of different ways you can go. You can choose to completely avoid the other racers. You can choose to try and ambush them. There are all sorts of things you can do. But Tasho here is sticking pretty close to you as you follow her, at least through the canals. So anybody have any ideas about how to get rid of Tasho in this race?
I'm actually going to use my magnetic line thrower now
Nice.
to attach ourselves to Tasha's boat.
Spear hook. Okay.
And then hopefully Benji can think of a fun idea to do with that if he comes entangled here. So I'm going to wreck it.
Ah, okay. So you're just trying to like make damage to her ship with this magnetic line thrower.
Not only that, to hook onto it though, so that like we could steer some way and it would pull it off course or something.
Okay.
But I'm gonna aim for, and I'm sad to do this, but I'm gonna aim for their Eek engine.
Ah, you set it up. Now you're knocking it down. It's hard work.
So am I still a risky position? I think.
Yeah, I think so. And the amazing display in the crow's foot leg definitely took anybody from desperate up to risky. So I think you're fine.
So I'm gonna say standard.
Yeah, standard effect makes sense. Although of course you can trade position for effect if you want. You can go down to desperate for a great effect.
Actually, I'll do that. Okay.
Okay.
Cancel this. So I'm gonna wreck. I'm gonna do desperate. So I'm gonna do it by ticking the prowess. I'm gonna be at desperate position. I get a +1 die.
Mm-hmm. +1 die for what?
When I roll a desperate action, I get a +1 die because I'm a
Ah,
daredevil.
the daredevil. It's just the consequences that you get a...
Take a -1 die to any resistance roll.
Noted. I really hope you don't get a 6.
Oh, you hope. Okay, I hope I do.
I hope, yeah.
Okay, so that is desperate. It's still standard effect. I get a bonus die. Spent. Yes.
Oh my god, 2 6s. So you got a critical. You do this with increased effect, right? So, and your goal was to wreck the other engine. So I think your line thrower, I don't know, how does this happen with increased effect? You not only latch onto the engine, but you do serious damage to it.
Yeah, I think I'm actually. So I shoot. I'm aiming at it, and I shoot for it. And when I do, I wink at her mechanics. And when my line thrower hits it, I pull it really, or like I have a retractor on my line thrower that pulls it so hard that it just pulls it out completely. And when it does, it skews their boat slightly.
Okay, cool. And let's see here. I think it's enough to severely damage their boat, but I don't think it's enough to completely like rip their engine free of the boat and
Well, in that
cause
case,
them
I'm
to
just
be...
skewing it. Like I've wrecked it and I've pulled it back so that it skews the way their boat is going. at the moment.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So they're starting to take on water and they're starting to like flounder a little bit behind you, but you definitely tear into the lead here. And so you're going through the canals. Do you want to stay with them? Do you want to take a different canal? Do you want to try and like track down Hutton? What do you want to do right now?
I think finding Hutton is number one.
Cool.
So that's just
Can,
me.
can I do another action before we leave Silk Shore? Like right before we get to the docks?
Sure, yeah. Just remind me, because I'm sure in the moment I'll forget.
John, kind of balancing in between consciousness and unconsciousness, flips open kind of a side compartment on his half of the boat and pulls out a fine, long rifle.
Okay. Very nice. Are you going to use that right now?
No, I'm just getting it ready.
Okay.
Benji, you gotta get me close and I'll get him down, mate.
I'm working on it. I can't even see the bastard at the moment.
Oh, just take your time. Do like we practice. I'm in no rush.
So,
Are you okay?
Black, if you want to do something now, it occurs to me that you could maybe track track Hutton down through these canals in the ghost field.
Would hunt apply? Just my gathering information about my target's location. Maybe
Yeah.
I've seen them turn down a certain alleyway.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right. Am I still in a desperate position, Willie?
I think you've recovered now, back to risky.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Standard effect?
Yeah, standard effect for sure.
No bonus dice. Hey, first
six.
six of the night!
Okay,
Yes!
congratulations. Yeah, you do it. So you don't use the ghost field on this thing. You're just using your good old-fashioned sleuthing skills, but somehow you managed to find Hutton. How is it that you managed to track him down?
I see them take a left down one of the canals that would trim one of the, few seconds off their time. And it's like, Benji, don't follow them. Just carry on. They're 3, maybe 4 seconds ahead of us. They'll give me plenty of range. I can pick them off.
All right. I hope you're right.
And like pulling this out, it's like, you remember when we were like, the 13, maybe 14, we'd pick off cans on the side of the bank, shooting them into the canal. That was always the best, right? That hasn't gone away.
I hope not.
I actually look at him with like my half-burned face. Good thing you didn't get me good, all right?
As you look over at him, this is a result of the engagement roll where a rival is involved. You look over and you can see that you're on track to have a collision course basically with Hutton if that's what Benji wants. But down another canal, you spot a blue coat boat that's barreling towards you. But you race past that canal really quickly. And then you look down another canal and you see another blue coat boat that's racing toward you as well. And it's a little closer. And so you blast through this canal, and all of a sudden, 2 blue coat boats, they come up behind you in their craft, and they've got guns, they've got all sorts of gadgets and everything, so you've got another complication on your hands right now.
The soot and blue coats. Where the hell did they come from?
Bought me in the mouth. Oh, fucking goddammit, Clank, what do we do?
Blake says, "Go that way, quick," and I'm going to do a flashback.
Okay, what do you got?
So, Clink set up a spot in a canal here where this area doesn't have a bridge. They have a barge, or like a pontoon bridge, not one that goes above. And he might have made it sink just below the water line the night before. So that you can't really see it.
All right.
And your engine's going to hit it.
Yeah, so this is like a municipal sabotage that you're conducting right now. I think that's plenty stressful, so I'm going to say 2 stress to be able to do this.
Okay. But I'm going to wreck it.
Okay, sounds good. And I think for flashbacks again, risky standard makes sense to me.
I'm going to make it desperate.
Okay, you're going to make it desperate to increase to great. And
no, I get a plus die.
okay, so you get +1 die, but you also have your fine wrecking tools, right?
I do.
So that'll take you up to great regardless. So desperate and great with +1 die. A 6 again. Jeez. Okay. Very nice. All right. So you managed to sink this boat just fine.
Okay. Or it's a pontoon bridge. That
Yeah,
goes
yeah,
across
yeah.
the entire canal.
Yeah. And
And
so
I tell Benji, "Go that way and raise the engine," and I just laugh.
nice. Okay. So Benji, you've got to take care of this then.
Is Hutton following us that same way, or is he taking a different way?
Hutton is indeed. Hutton's actually still ahead of you.
Okay.
But you can tell that like you're going in the same general direction. You're still mostly on a collision course.
Well, I was just wondering if he's going to hit the same thing. So.
No, he took a different route. It's like you guys are banking right, and he went straight, but you know that both places are going to end up around the same area.
Okay.
Yeah. So Benji.
All right. So Benji had he has actually pulled the collar up on this long coat that he wears all the time, especially as they were entering the Silk Shore, because he knows that this is where LaRose hangs out
Uh-huh.
a lot of the times, and he does not want to get ID'd as being a part of these races.
Yeah.
But especially now that there's actually blue coats on them, he is like hunched down, like trying his best to keep his face hidden as best as he can. He's following the directions of Clank, and he is going to kind of shake his head like, I hope you're right. And he's going to raise up the motor just as they're getting close and fire up that fan engine again.
Nice. And this is also, for what it's worth, the same district where you all have your hideout. And so this is a place where like people might recognize your face too. So it's especially good that you're lifting up the collar here. So you're going to blast this airboat again to try and get over this thing. Let's see how it goes.
Okay, so finesse,
Mm-hmm.
risky position,
Yeah, I
or
think
desperate.
it's going to be desperate because this is some sabotage that could be visited upon your boat too.
Yeah, okay. So that'll do another tick in prowess. Desperate position. Effect is
Effect would be standard, I think. Yeah.
okay. No bar. Is there a bonus die from the fan? Is that what it?
Well, no, actually, I guess it would increase your effect, so it would go from standard to
Okay.
great.
Let me cancel this real quick. So
And you can add a bonus die if you push yourself or you take a devil's bargain.
Okay, so desperate action, desperate position, great effect. Devil's bargain. You know, Benji really, really can't afford further issues with the Blue Coats. So, Benji's gonna make a deal with the devil.
Okay. Let's see here. You're making a deal with the devil because specifically you don't want the bluecoats to bother you after this moment. Like you want a little bit of a breather from the bluecoats, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so a devil's bargain would look like, I think it would be, there are going to be more dockers than, or there are going to be more grinders than you anticipated in the final leg who are waiting to sabotage you. So, like, you see, the situation would have been, if you had gone into that section blind, the grinders would have made all of your effects limited. But because you knew what was up, it upgraded your effect to standard. But now, since there are more than you anticipated, I think your effect will remain standard, but your position will go down to desperate instead of risky in this section, in this final leg.
What do you think, boys? Should I take it?
It's up to you. We sort of know where the grinders are, right?
Yeah, you know where they're positioned, but this would just add more in those positions and maybe more
I did
in.
get a 6 when I had hunted them or studied them.
Right, but like the devil's bargain means that like something bad happens, you know, and,
Oh.
and it would just be that like, oh, the count was off, you know.
Okay.
I would just look at Benji, kind of one eye, blistered shut, the other bloodshot and tired. Just do it, right?
All right. I'll take it.
All right, there we go. So go ahead and give me this roll then to maneuver past this thing. A 5. You do it, but there's a consequence. You suffer harm, a complication occurs, you have reduced effect. So here's what I think happens. The airboat fan blasts you forward, right? And it lifts the nose of the boat enough out of the water that you can kind of skip over this barge, this pontoon bridge. But it doesn't stop your boat from making contact with the pontoon bridge. And so you blast up and there's like a housing around the engine or something that breaks loose and comes and slashes you in the arm. And so you're going to suffer harm. This will be level 2 harm, slashed shoulder or something. Shoulder cut, maybe, is the most efficient way to type that. And of course, you can try and resist it.
I definitely would like to.
Okay, so then what you will do is roll, what is the die you'll roll? Prowess, yeah, that's the one for finesse. So roll prowess, and you will take 6 stress minus the highest die result that you get. Okay, so you'll take 3 stress from that. And how do you manage to dodge this?
Okay. Whew, I have 1 stress under. Okay.
Getting close, all right.
So it races forward and it tears this piece off. Does it tear the piece off and then I just simply avoid the harm?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, it knocks this casing off and this piece comes flying up at me, and I'm on high alert right now because of these blue coats, and I'm hyper aware because I don't want LaRose to see me. So I've just got my head on a swivel, and I happen to just be looking in the right direction at the right time, and I just narrowly dodge out of the way as it just kind of probably even cuts my jacket. It comes so close.
Nice.
But I miss it.
I love it. Cool. So
I think at this moment there's like a communal, we all kind of make eye contact, and just the various things that have happened in the last 4.5 minutes of this boat race. And it's like everyone kind of hysterically laughs for a brief second and then serious.
Yeah. Clink listens for the inevitable crash.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you definitely hear a crash. And both of these police boats, both of these blue coat boats, they ram onto the pontoon, and they just careen out of control, and they smash into the sides, and like some of the officers are thrown into the water, which is bad for them. And some of them are like immediately working to try and fish their comrades out and climb out onto the shore and that sort of thing. But those 2 boats are done for. And so as the Eek blasts out of the Silk Shore canals and onto the River Dusk, you can see to your left, this is when you're like cackling with laughter as you like hit the water coming out onto this open stretch. And you can see to your left, the void sea stretches out dark and terrifying in front of you. Above you, the sky is cracked and you can see holes in the stars. To your right is the river that you just went through where Tangletown is located. And ahead of you is Hutton and the docks, where you know the grinders have staged an ambush for you. So you barrel on through, and let's do this final leg now. Does anybody have any actions they want to take to try and catch up to Hutton, or anticipatory things to get into the dock area, or what?
Oh, I most certainly do, but
Okay, I'll let you go.
I have this, this fine long rifle in my hands. I'm sweaty. I'm burned. I'm wet from what should be salt water, I would imagine. I'm tired. Really fucking tired. And with that, I'm going to invoke the hunt and steady my sights on the mutton-chopped man piloting the boat in front of me.
All right, very cool. So we talked about how this would put you into a desperate position coming into this place, but I don't think we're actually in the docks yet. So I think this is still going to be a risky position for you.
Okay.
And it's a fine long rifle, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I think that would take you from trying to shoot a gun on a moving craft to hit somebody who's on a moving craft ahead of you in the dark would definitely be like a limited effect. But because this is a fine rifle, I'll let you take it up to standard. So we're at risky standard right now. Would you like to trade position for effect? Would you like to push yourself? Would anybody like to assist?
I think we're all in pretty desperate
Actually, I'm gonna push myself. I can do the 2 stress.
Okay, cool. So you push yourself, and do you want to trade? Do you want to like increase your effect, or do you want to add a
I
die?
think I'm gonna try and increase my effect.
Okay, cool.
To
So
great.
you go desperate. Sorry, you're at risky, and then up to great effect.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, let's see how this happens. A 3. Oh, things go badly. So you end up
All
in
right.
you end up in a desperate position. The bullet ricochets off of the boat, off of Hutton's boat, and Hutton looks back at your boat, and then you can see him. You can't hear him, but he gestures up to Darrett, and Darrett starts to like work on something at the front of the boat. You have no idea what it is, but something's going on.
You gotta get a little bit closer there, Benji. I'm a little bit out of range.
Well, it's a good thing he wasn't a tin can.
I would have preferred it, maybe, if that was that way.
I
Look,
noticed.
man, I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm in some pretty bad fucking shape. Cut me a break.
So you guys are officially headed into the dock area now, and you can see that there are figures kind of scurrying around on the docks, down behind barrels and that sort of thing, and a lot of them have guns, but none of them are firing just yet as you get under this first wharf, and we're going to need some sort of like maneuvering. Oh, you
Well,
said...
at,
Yeah, go
at
ahead,
that
Clank.
time, though, I mean, we broke out to the dock and we happened to pass our benefactor, Addie Frog,
Ah, yes, of course.
who is celebrating. And when Addie sees us, Addie sets off the really cool fireworks that I gave Addie to set off when Addie sees us.
Very nice. So this is a flashback to set up this fireworks display?
I mean, I don't know if it's a flashback because well, it's a flashback that I gave them to them, but right now I'm going to I'm going to call it a wreck now if I can.
Sure.
To cause a distraction, because these are the electroplasmic fireworks that they loved from
Yeah.
the last time.
They did. And you see, what I'm thinking is, like, if you did a flashback to set them up, you could set them up pointed in a particular direction. I'm trying
Okay.
to, like, anticipate what you're hoping to do here.
Yeah. So I'm pointing them at where I know the grinder ambushes are going to be.
Okay, sounds good. So go ahead and give me that flashback roll. This, it's on good territory with the person who likes you, so I don't think this is a stress action. It's 0 stress.
Okay. So it's still a wreck, though. You're
Yeah.
fine with.
Yeah. And let's see, risky standard. You can push yourself if you want. And just
so I'm
to,
gonna do a devil's bargain.
you want to do a devil's bargain? I
I
think
think I have to when I do electroplasmic fireworks.
yeah, I mean, I think you're right. Here's what I'm thinking. First of all, this flashback is to set up the fireworks. Nobody's going to have to roll to set off the fireworks. They'll just happen. So this roll will basically determine how accurately those fireworks were set up, right?
Okay.
And how devastating they'll be when you set them off. If you take a devil's bargain right now, then the electroplasm of the fireworks, when it makes contact with the river, it's going to... Well, no. When the fireworks hit the docks will catch fire. Do you want to take that devil's bargain?
What docks are these?
Like the big docks that the Leviathan hunter ships come up into.
I'm sorry, guys. Are you okay with this? I want to do it.
Gonna be racking up some heat, boys. All right, so give me this rec roll.
Okay, so it's still risky standard.
Risky standard, and you get an additional die for the devil's bargain. A 5. Okay, so you do it, but there's a consequence. A complication occurs. Yeah, so it's going to be a complication. The docks do indeed catch on fire, and you weren't expecting the size of the fire that they were going to create. And so Now you've got even more obstacles to deal with in this situation. So, like I said, you are in a desperate position from all the grinders, and you are in a standard effect because of your knowledge of the terrain.
Oh, I wasn't in a desperate position. I did it as risky.
No. I'm talking about when you maneuver through these docks. It's something that
okay.
we haven't done yet. Now, the grinders are taken care of, so you go from desperate to risky. However, there's a lot more debris and fire and obstacles and stuff in the water, so your position or your effect goes from standard back down to limited. So you're risky and limited for maneuvering through these docks at this point.
I will just say though, like when these went off, it was a multitude of colors and a big old bang.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fire, because it's electroplasmic, the fire is this hellish sort of blue. If you've seen Kung Fu Panda, whenever Tai Lung is in the end and he like gets that fire in his hands, it's that same sort of blue flame. And you
Like
can
a
hear,
blue-
instead of the roaring of the fire, you can almost hear the wailing of ghostly voices coming from this flame. So, it's time to maneuver your way through these docks. And I gotta say, there is one more boat up in front of you. It's Hutton. And Hutton is still planning some surprises.
So Benji is. He's just gonna have to do his best. He's gonna. I think it's time to kick in the eek.
All right. Oh, God. In the midst of all this, like, electroplasmic flame, that's going to look so cool.
Clank will help.
All right. So, Clank, you're going to assist.
Yeah.
Okay. So, that's 1 stress for you. And, Benji, you get 1 extra die for that.
Okay. You said
And-
you were desperate.
Risky and limited right now.
Risky. Okay. Risky and.
And I'm going to say, let's see here. With the eek, you go from limited to standard.
Okay.
Do you want to trade position for effect? Right now, you're at risky standard.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you're going to go down to desperate for great effect.
And that's. Desperate. Great effect.
And an additional die.
An extra die.
Oh, this is so hectic.
Hold on to your butts.
A 4 was the best you got. Okay. You do it, but there's a consequence. You suffer severe harm. So you are blasting through all this flame, and even with the increased speed, you're maneuvering through these obstacles like fallen pylons and big old barrels that have been just left afloat in the water, and like spiky things and barbed wire hanging down from the docks and stuff. The organizers of this race have really pulled out all the stops to make this a bad experience, and then you went above and beyond to make it even worse with all the fire and everything. However, all of these obstacles have masked some stuff going on up in Hutton's boat. And Hutton has been casting these barrels into the water as they go along. These barrels that are about, I don't know, they're like maybe 2 or 3 gallon barrels. And Darrett is just throwing them into the water. And now Darrett's got these 2 pistols. And Darrett reaches back and shoots at the barrels, and they just explode. And not only does nasty water and that sort of thing, but also shrapnel and just the concussive force of these explosions rocks the eek something fierce. And it doesn't stop you from moving forward, but it will be level 3 harm against both you and Black, because you're both above decks right now.
And we got armor on.
I was just gonna ask how armor works.
Yeah, let me actually just consult the rules really quick to make sure I know, because I know we've never dealt with this before. Armor.
I'm gonna need some armor here.
32,
I'm
33,
gonna be pretty
and
rough.
88. Let's see here. Resistance and armor. If you have a type of armor that applies to the situation, you can mark an armor box to reduce or avoid a consequence. So,
We're all wearing armor, obviously.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think it just means that like you can choose to have some armor on hand for the occasion, and so you check off an armor box.
I am taking heavy armor,
Cool.
which is 3.
3. Okay, so that'll reduce the entirety of that harm. It's level 3 harm, so I think
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do that too.
yeah. Okay, cool. So these explosions rock the Eek, and down in the bottom, Clank, I'm sure, is just totally confused by what's going on. But up above, all of this shrapnel and all of this concussive force is just pinging off of this armor that you've been wearing. What is the armor?
I think the armor is this kind of the same stuff that we painted.
Mhm.
Oh, no, we went with another route on that. So I think it's probably just metal plating that's kind of been inserted into this. I'm gonna say it's almost like a straight jacket.
Okay.
So we cut the sleeves shorter and stuff, but it's just got like these canvas pockets kind of all over it, and it's incredibly bulky and stupid heavy. But now we're incredibly thankful that we actually bothered to go through the trouble of wearing it.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And here's what I think: because it's a great effect, you were blasted on the head like you had a ghost behind you or something, right? Hutton expected this to be the end of you, especially with all the carnage that was behind him. So Hutton slowed down when this happened, and then the barrels detonated just a little late. And so the explosion, while it did lacerate you and maybe like damaged the airboat fan a little bit, the explosion just blasts the Eek forward even faster than it was going to, right? The Eek system itself propelled it, but then the explosion just knocked it forward even more. So you're officially ahead of Hutton at this point, but Hutton is still alive.
Well, the reason they had this heavy armor on is because Clank set up something else.
Okay.
He took the remote controlled fire bombs that they had gotten from Tasho and might have anchored some to buoys right near the end.
Okay. All right.
And so when we went ahead of Hutton, we're right in the field of those things, and Clank sets them off.
Oh, jeez. Okay, so let's call this another flashback to set these explosives on the buoys. I think this would be like a 1 stress activity.
Okay?
Um,
I'm wrecking again.
Risky standard, I suppose. Do you want to trade that position for effect at all?
Yeah, I will go down to desperate.
To go up to great?
Yep.
All right, cool.
So I get a +1 dice for my Daredevil.
Oh, jeez. Okay. A 6. Okay. Whew. You do it. So tell us what this looks like as you pull ahead and Hutton is consumed in flames.
I'm actually waiting for Jonathan to give me the signal because I'm below. I'm like, my head can pop out of the area in the compartment area, but I need someone to tell me when to set these off. And so I'm assuming Jonathan's like kicking me on the head, like, "Hey, Clank, now!"
It's more of like an elbow bump.
So when I push it, though, there's just jets of fire that go up in random spots, and I'm hoping that Hutton is right on top of one.
Yeah. I think it's a situation where Hutton is behind you, and maybe like these buoys have lights on them, because why else would they be out there in the first place? But maybe the bombs have lights that are flashing on them too. And Hutton is like looking around, and Darrett's like, "Hey boss, look at this stuff." And then Hutton looks around and he sees that there are more flashing lights on these buoys than there should be. And then he's like, "Ah, no, stop it!" Ah! And he's like tries to yank out of the way, but it's too late. The fire just engulfs him, and by the time the flames clear and the smoke clears and all that, there's no boat except some bubbles that are coming up from the water where Hutton used to be.
I think Derek might have had one more of those barrels
Oh,
that he was like getting ready to like try to like hurl at us,
jeez.
and that just made it like all that much worse.
So I'm picturing the boat is moving forward, and then there are a bunch of explosions that are going to sink it, but there's also this impact on the front of the boat where Darrett is. So, like, the back of the boat kicks up, and you all get showered with debris from the back of this boat as it, like, flies up and into the water. And you blast through the finish line, and you've won the race. So there's a lot of coin that you can pick up, but right now, you've caused such a riot. There are 2 of these 7 big Leviathan Hunter wharfs that have been basically completely destroyed by your racing. And you got to get out of here. Who's going to lead us out of this thing?
Benji, please get us the fuck out of here, mate.
Right.
Clegg pops his head out and says, "What's wrong?"
Oh, nothing. It's fine.
Everything is wrong.
There's like fire everywhere. It's fine. This is fine.
Everything's not fine.
Okay, so I'm gonna try finesse to get us out of here.
All right, let's see it. This will be a desperate position for sure.
That's right.
But, you know, this is basically a victory lap for you, so let's call it a great effect.
Okay. Desperate. Effect is great. No bonus dice. Come on.
A 4! You do it, but there's a consequence. A serious complication will occur unless you choose to resist it. What happens is that there are bluecoats who are able to track where the boat goes.
I gotta try to resist.
All right, so roll prowess, and it'll be
God,
6 stress
this
minus your highest die
so
result.
Awful.
You only have 1 trauma, right? Stone, you can take another one.
No, I have 2.
Oh, never mind.
You can take 2 more trauma. That's not a big deal.
No more bonus dice for this.
Hope you roll a 5 or a 6.
One more 6.
Oh
Yes!
my god!
Yes! Yes!
Well done. All right, so you managed to get
wow.
out of there somehow.
Fucking the scalded, misformed figure of John is turning around, flipping all these fucking blue coats off.
All right, so the crew of
and I
the
would think the plan would be to meet back at Addie Frog's place.
well, eventually, anyway.
Oh, okay. Because I really want to celebrate with Addie again.
I think it's wise to stow the boat first, but then you can make your way to
I
Addie's
don't
pleasure
actually
barge.
know how eager I am to go to the pleasure barge. 'Cause the last time I went there, I got haunted.
Sure, not everybody has to go. That's fine.
Actually, I'm going. No, wait.
But this is the end of our score, and so now we can switch over to a downtime round. I do want to take a quick break, so let's plan to meet back in another 5 minutes, and we can do downtime and take care of that. And so for those of you tuning in, we will be right back. All right, everyone. Well, we are back, and what a buck wild race we just experienced. Oh man.
I don't think my heart can take anymore.
No, I don't think so either. I want some nice, easy downtime going on here. So nobody
I don't know
try
what you're talking
anything.
about. I think that was pretty tame.
Yeah. Well, maybe for Clank's desperate
I'm
living.
fucking almost dead, mate.
Super low key.
Clank is very sorry about that.
Yeah,
Just like
Ugh.
us.
just press the button, they said.
Okay. So let's figure this out. Step 1 of downtime is the payoff. You earn 2 rep per score by default. If the target's a higher tier, you take plus 1 rep higher. So that's 3 rep total for you all.
2
Yeah.
rep puts us at the top of it.
Yeah, so you'll fill it up and then you'll clear it and put 1 at the base. And you also get, if your rep is all the way up, then your position or your hold on your territory goes from weak to strong.
All right.
Yeah. So you've solidified a name for yourself tonight. That's the situation. You haven't expanded your territory, but the people that like you all the much more now.
I don't know what we could have done for that.
Ugh, yeah, I can't imagine. You also earn coin based on the nature of the operation. I said 4 coin was going to be the result of winning the race, but you get plus 2 coin for involving sabotage. So you all actually get 6 coin. Congratulations on that. And let's see here. Heat. All right, so add plus 1 heat for a high profile or well connected target. I think. Well, first of all, let's decide here. Was this a loud and chaotic score, or was this a wild, or was this a wild and devastating score?
Uh,
I mean, really,
It's all. It's I was gonna say it's perspective based. It's pretty
I
tame.
think it was all 4 actually.
I think yeah, it was. I think wild and devastating makes sense, which means
Yeah.
6 heat,
oh my god.
in addition to the 2 that came from Clank bragging.
Damn it, Clank.
Yep. So
We're not wanted yet.
add plus 1 heat for a high profile or well connected target.
Okay, now we're wanted.
So actually 7.
9? Oh.
Oh well, 8, 9, I guess, including
We
the.
killed it this
yeah.
score.
And also, speaking of killing, add plus 2 heat if killing was involved.
Oh, good god.
Oh.
Look
Okay,
at a
so-
total of 9.
So we've maxed out heat. So do I clear it and do the next 2?
Yes, you do, and you go back up to wanted level 1.
Oh god.
Hey.
All right. So after the payoff, roll dice equal to your wanted level for entanglement. So this is a wanted level of 1.
Wait,
And you-
did none of that look like an accident? Just curious.
No.
Okay. I was just curious.
You've maybe blown the lid off of this illegal canal racing thing. You've definitely established yourselves as legends. So I need somebody to roll 1d6. This could be like you could classify it as a fortune roll as far as the buttons are concerned.
I guess I can do it.
All right.
Alright, let's see here. Roll fortune. Dear God. Number of dice, just 1.
Correct. Yeah.
No notes.
A 4 on the fortune roll. So your heat is 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
That means rivals or unquiet dead. Rivals. Let's see. A neutral faction throws their weight around. They threaten you, a friend or contact, or one of your vice purveyors. Either forfeit 1 rep or coin per tier of the rival, or stand up to them and lose 1 status with them. Or unquiet dead. A rogue spirit is drawn to you, perhaps it's a past victim. Acquire the services of a whisper or railjack to attempt to destroy or banish it, or deal with it yourself.
We choose between those?
Yeah, you can choose either rivals or unquiet dead.
Please no
Like
more
rivals.
ghosts. Please no more ghosts.
Yeah, I think rivals.
Rivals
Alright.
make sense to me. Like we just made a name for ourselves. Someone else is gonna.
And you know what makes sense to me? A neutral faction throws their weight around. I think it's the Leviathan Hunters. Because you've destroyed their docks.
Yeah.
And they're pissed. Addy Freud is pleased because Addy is actually a rival of the Leviathan Hunters. But you've pissed off a tier 5 group. And so either you can pay them 5 rep and 5 coin, or you can stand up to them and lose 1 status with them.
Let's stand up to them.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they're already at odds with the Dockers, anyways,
Mm-hmm.
and we're known associates of the Dockers, so
Which
kind
It's
of makes
true.
sense.
All right, so you were at -1 with the Leviathan Hunters because I think you didn't pay them heed in the past or something. So now you're at -2. If you get to -3 with the Leviathan Hunters, you go to war with them. And just so you know, you do not want to go to war with a tier 5 faction. Tier 5 is the highest tier. They are like a private military. And it's bad. I think the blue coats are only tier 3. So don't piss these guys off anymore. All right, but that's what happens. Some rivals, the Leviathan Hunters, throw their weight around, and you've lost status with them. And now it's time for downtime actions. So you're not at war with anyone, which means you get 2 downtime actions apiece. You also get +1 downtime action from our dear friend Benji's special ability. And there's plenty of stuff you all can do right now. So what are you thinking?
2 things come to mind. I'm pretty stressed,
Yeah. I think everybody is.
so I'm gonna indulge my voice.
All right.
Well,
Yes.
okay. So if Benji does that and someone does it with them, can we both do it with him?
I think it's just one other person, but it would probably say so in the rules.
When you indulge your vice, you may adjust the dice outcome by 1 or 2, up or down. An ally who joins in your vice may do the same.
Okay. How
Yeah,
much do you
so
have?
just one.
How much stress do you have, Baron?
I have 1 or 2 check marks away from full, so I'd love
Okay,
to-
you have more than me, so why don't you do that with
Jeremy, are you trying to get high together?
Well, my vice is speed. Like
Yeah,
going
well-
fast.
Yeah, speed. That's what I'm talking about.
I'm not doing 8 ball. I'm going for fast rides.
Why not both?
Yeah.
Hey, there you go.
All right. Well, I'm indulging. A
All right.
5. Yes.
All right, very nice, very nice. And actually, Benji, you go ahead and roll 2, and I'm pretty sure you can add to that 5 if you want to, Baron.
Yeah.
For a 6.
When you indulge your vice, you may adjust the dice outcome by 1 or 2, up or down. An ally who
1 or
joins
2?
you. Yeah, an ally who joins you in your vice may do the same.
Benji, I don't know what you're doing for me, mate, but you are relaxing the shit out of me.
It's going fast. I'm telling you. Calms all the worries.
It's kind of odd that going fast is the cure to going fast in this case.
I just went too fast before.
Alright, so I am
and
also
then-
indulging.
All right.
No bonus dice.
Hey.
Critical. Is there a critical?
I don't
He just
know.
over blue. Yeah.
Hold on, let me see. I think it's just the 1 die.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, let me.
1, 2, 3, 6, 7. I'm at 8 stress. So
Here's an interesting rule that I didn't realize. If you do not or cannot indulge your vice during downtime, you take stress equal to your trauma.
oh wow.
I had never realized that was a thing because I haven't dealt with trauma very much, but now that we've
That's
all got
crazy.
some trauma under our belt, or most of us anyway, that's good to know.
Wow. Okay. So if there's nothing special from it being critical, then I will use the functioning vice to bump it by 2 points and clear all of my stress.
Nice, very nice. Both of you went from almost full to nothing. That's a good, effective roll.
Man, Benji, you're such a good friend of mine.
You know, I feel the same way about you, Brett.
Thank God, I'm running out of friends these days. You remember that Alan girl I was talking to? Yeah, me either. That was session 1.
All right, Clank. What about you? What do you want to do?
Clank needs to work on the eek a little bit, so he's got to stay up all night again
Of course,
to do that.
of course.
So he's going to indulge in his vice.
A 3. So what's that? You had 6, so that takes you down to 3. That's not bad. That's not terrible.
Okay.
You-
Sorry.
You've each got one more downtime action each.
I am going to work on organizing the dockers.
Okay.
Is
So-
there? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I choose an ability that I would do so to complete this task, correct?
Yeah. It's yeah. You pick an action, and the result determines how many checks you mark on the clock.
Alright, I'm gonna go with study. Kind of elicit and gather a response from our recent race to see how that appeased Addy and how I can use that to benefit the Dockers given the new situation with the Leviathan Hunters.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're just kind of you're hitting the books and study. Yeah. So study is what exactly is study?
Study is study a person, document, or item with close scrutiny.
Sure. Yeah, gain a deeper understanding, do research. Yeah, so you're studying the people who are involved in this to determine the fallout.
Yeah.
Cool. I like it.
Alright, so risky standard?
Yes, yeah.
A 5.
5, so that's 2 segments on the clock. Does that mean you complete it?
That it does.
Nice. All right, so you've managed to organize the Dockers. How did you do this? What did you do to study people and then determine that the Dockers were finally ready to be united?
I took into account the effects of the grinders losing their leader and
Mhm.
kind of the morale effect that had on the Dockers, just given light of recent circumstances. So I use that as kind of like my final push to like, we can do this. We need to band together. Let's organize the Dockers.
The Eek is capable of anything.
Leviathan Hunters. For you.
Yeah. Rally behind us and we can accomplish great things. I love it. That's awesome.
So that's what I'm doing to finish out my action.
Very cool. All right. Either one of Clank or Benji have ideas?
I want to invent a new Sparkcraft technology.
So this would be like a long-term project for you?
Yes.
Okay.
What clock? How much do you want me to do?
Well, we'll need to go through the questions for that. So can we actually handle Benji's first, and then we'll jump over to yours?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So Benji, what are you doing with your other? I guess you've got 2 on the table. One of them you can give to somebody else.
Is there something that we can do to get rid of the wanted level?
You either have to go to jail yourself, or you have to set up somebody to go to jail for you.
Oh man.
Yeah, right.
Did the guy we set up before, is he still around?
Ollie Snakester?
Yeah.
I mean, he is, but he fell out of this race pretty early. The chances of him being the one to take the fall, I think, are fairly low.
Oh, okay.
I'm actually considering possibly Tasho.
Let's see here. When one of your crew members, friends, contacts, or a framed enemy is convicted and incarcerated for crimes associated with your crew, your wanted level is reduced to 1 and you clear your heat. I feel like that's something detailed enough that we can send somebody to jail, but I would prefer to take care of it in free play so that we can give it the time it deserves.
Okay.
Cool.
In that case, we still have 2 heat, right?
Yeah.
I'll work on trying to reduce some heat.
Okay. Sounds good. So for you to do that, you just have to tell me what action you're using, and we will reduce heat according to your roll result.
Okay.
Could be planting the seed for this framing you're doing.
Yeah. I am going to finesse the reverse of what I did earlier, taking something from Tasha's pocket. I'm going to plant the detonator that Clank used on her.
All right. Okay.
All right, so position would be risky, or
Yeah, the position effect doesn't really matter
oh,
here.
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Okay. No bonus dice. 4.
4. Okay, so 4. You reduce your heat by 2, so you end.
Perfect.
Yeah, you end up with 0 heat, and I think you get a bonus because of your crew playbook whenever you end a round with 0 heat, right?
Sweet. Okay.
I can't remember what it is, but somebody look that up.
But wanted doesn't affect.
We take an extra rep.
Nice. Okay.
Wanted doesn't affect that at all, though, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
You're wanted. It's just that there's nobody actually pursuing that warrant or whatever. Yeah. So, Derek, do you have the book?
No.
Okay.
I think Bear does.
I'm gonna put in the chat the question that you're supposed to ask me. Hold on just a second. Let me turn to this here. Player asks. Okay. So the thing that I have to ask you first is, what type of creation is this, and what does it do?
It is a Sparkcraft creation that it's going to create a blinding light to confuse and temporarily blind the people that look at it. It's like a flashbang.
Okay, like a Sparkcraft flashbang thing. Is it a single-use item? Is it like you just crank it up and it's good to go? What is it, like a grenade? What is it like?
If it's a single use, do I have to like craft new ones each time, or can I like craft a certain amount each time to use?
Yeah, if it's single use, I think you would like maybe use the acquire asset action to craft one. Let me just double check that. Yeah, to craft something, spend 1 downtime activity to make a tinker roll to determine the quality level of the item you produce. But first, you're going to have to actually develop the formula for this thing, so it's a project.
Mm-hmm. Then it's probably not going to be a single use. It's probably going to be something I crank up to use each time.
Okay.
Or it's got to power up for a minute or something.
Cool. Okay, so I know that now. You are an artificer, so you get a bonus when inventing these things. And now you ask me the question that I put in the chat, question number 2.
Oh, that chat.
Yeah, sorry, not the Facebook chat.
There's something there. What's the minimum quality level of this item?
I think the minimum quality level of this item is going to be 2. So it's a little bit better than what you have to work with normally. It's an upgrade from what you're used to doing. And yeah, that's that. So my question now is, what rare, strange, or adverse aspect of this formula or design has kept it in obscurity out of common usage?
Can we say dangerous aspect of it?
Yeah, sure. Well, adverse would definitely fall into that category, yeah.
It's because it's going to be based off my electroplasmic firework.
Okay. All right, so it's like a portable, reusable firework.
Maybe not quite as destructive as that. It's
Of
just
course.
light.
All right. I'm just making notes here about what this thing is. Let's see. And then the final question number 4, is one that you ask me.
What drawbacks does this item have, if any?
Well, drawbacks. It is conspicuous when you set it off, and it's volatile. Conspicuous means that the creation doesn't go unnoticed, and you take +1 heat if it's used any number of times on an operation. It's also volatile, which means the item produces a dangerous or troublesome side effect for the user specified by the GM. A side effect is a consequence and may be resisted. So I think it's the same, like it's a flash burn situation. It's very bright, it's super conspicuous, and while it's not as devastating and dangerous as the actual firework, it's still like whoever's holding this thing has to be really careful, or else they're going to burn their hands or their face or something when they set it off.
I ain't fucking doing it.
I like it. Okay, so then
Jonathan,
let's see
hold
here.
this.
Crafting is going to
Nope.
be...
Not holding it.
Alrighty. So you need to study this as a long-term project. New formulas or designs require an 8-segment progress clock to invent and learn.
Okay.
All right.
So
So
can I start that then?
yeah, and you will study to do this.
Study? Where's... Oh, study? Oh,
Yeah.
that's not good.
Yeah. Sorry. I will say this. Craft it by using a downtime activity, sample creations. What does the artificer thing give you exactly?
When you invent or craft a creation with SparkCraft features, take +1 result level to your roll.
Oh, okay, perfect. So you're guaranteed to get at least like a level 2 result from this.
Okay, I'll see what happens then. So, risky and stuff don't matter, right?
Yes, yeah, that doesn't matter.
Okay, so it's study, which I have no pips in. So, it's the lower one. So it's only a 4.
A 4. Okay. So 4, but you do take +1 result. 4 would be like a middle result, so this is actually a higher one, so you get to fill in 3 segments on that progress clock. So you're already almost halfway to developing this thing.
Can other people help develop it?
Well, there is another downtime action that's available, the floating one from Benji's special ability.
It's yours, Benji, so you can say what you want to do.
For the record, I do have 2 level 1 harm.
Oh, that's right.
We did get some coins, so we can handle that.
Okay, well, I'm going to spend a coin then to do more.
Okay. So yeah, go ahead and give me... So here's the deal. You can improve the result by another step if you spend a coin, or you can just roll again.
I'll
If you-
roll again.
If you improve it by another step, it goes from 3 pips to 4 pips. So, your choice.
That's why I'll just roll again, because I'm... With my +1 result, I'll at least get a 1 pip.
Yeah,
Right.
that makes sense. So studying once more, a 5. Okay, so you again get.
It's a 3. It's a 3.
Oh, 3. You're right. You're right. So you get to fill in
So it's a
2
4.
segments this time.
So it's a 4, because I get a +1 result.
Yes, yeah. If you a 1 through 3, you would fill in 1 segment, but because it's
Okay.
upgraded to the next tier, then you fill in 2 instead.
All right.
So you're already over halfway to researching this thing. Sleepless nights, man. They're productive.
What is it that has to be done to increase our crew's tier?
So to increase the tier, you have to fill up your rep track again. Basically, the way it works is that you start off tier 0, but your hold is strong. And then when you fill up your rep track, you go from tier 0 to tier 1, and your hold goes from strong to weak. Then when you fill up your track again, you go back from weak to strong. Fill up again, you go from 1 to 2.
I see.
Yeah. So rising in tier is a pretty slow process.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I am also going to use my additional. Oh wait, can I give my additional downtime action to Black to try to heal his harm?
Sure,
Is there a way to do that?
sure.
That's what I'm going to do then.
All right.
What do I have to do to heal a level 1 harm?
You you either try to heal it yourself, or you go to a physiker to do it, or like
Which
somebody
I do
who's.
not. Could I go to? She's not his contact anymore, but Clank's psychic.
Stasia?
Yeah, is that a maintained contact,
Yeah,
or have
well-
you lost that?
I'm pretty sure she's still a contact. I think you had an opportunity to lose her, but Clank went with something else when he overindulged his vice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna go to her actually.
All right. So this will be a
Perhaps
fortune roll for
even
you.
behind Clank's back.
Oh, all right. So this is a fortune roll for you according to her tier, and she's connected to a tier 3 noble house. So you'll roll 3 dice for this.
6.
Okay, so that is 3 segments on your healing clock.
Okay. How many is it total? 6.
Your healing clock, it's actually already on your sheet. It's over by like where your trauma and stuff is.
Okay. Oh, yep, you're right.
Yeah.
So I have 3.
Yeah. Okie dokie. So let's see here. Did somebody else want to take another downtime action?
If the party's alright with it, I'd like to use a coin to kind of finish up my healing.
Yeah, I'm good with that. I'd like to spend one as well, if possible.
Okay.
Okay, are you guys using group coin or your coin?
Group coin.
We just earned 6.
7?
Yeah, you earned 6 total, so you could divide it up 2 coin for each of you, or you could put some of it in the crew. Whatever you choose to do.
I'm gonna take my share for the sake of healing myself.
Yeah, I'll
Okay,
go
so you
ahead
have-
and mark mine on my sheet as well.
Okay. So that 6, just so I know, got divided up evenly between the 3 of you.
And I'm rolling fortune again.
Yes, yeah. Roll fortune again, 3 dice. Another 6. All right, so you get healed. Your level 1 harm goes away. Stasia treats you right.
Well, I do have 2 level 1 harms, so would that put me 2 ticks on my next?
I'm
Healing.
pretty sure both of them go away, but we can confirm that later on.
Alright, well, for the time being, I'm gonna keep it at 2.
Yeah.
'Cause that's what I would be at, and I'm gonna get rid of my scalded face.
Nice. Nice.
I hope you didn't tell Stasia how you got it.
No, I kept your name out of it, mate. But she did look after me pretty nice. I won't lie.
Yeah, so Recover says when you fill your healing clock, reduce each instance of harm on your sheet by 1 level. So both of those go down.
That. Your girl hooked me up, mate. She got me patched up and looking good.
What do you mean she hooked you up?
Well,
I didn't know she was into that kinky stuff.
well, you see, there was this. We can talk about it later.
And Benji, I believe you had one more action you wanted to take as well.
I did. I am going to work on the contact wheel, the long-term project I have with LaRose.
Okay, cool. All right. Let's see. So go ahead and give me that roll as well. What action are you taking to do this? To figure out LaRose's, how you can connect these blackmail targets or whatever with LaRose's vices?
So, I think I'm going to consort.
All right.
I think there's actually somebody in the nobility, maybe even in the merchant section of nobility that my
Sure.
family belongs to.
Sure.
All right, position and effect doesn't matter. No bonus dice. There's a 6.
All right, cool. So you fill in another 3 segments on your clock, and I think you only had 1 more to fill in.
I did.
So
We had discussed there being a secondary phase to this.
Mhm.
Do those extra 2 pieces roll over to that, or no?
I don't think they do. I'll double check that. I think worst case scenario, I would house rule that you could carry half of them over into the new project.
Okay.
But I'll double check and I'll let you know offline.
Sure.
Cool.
So now that that clock is full, do I need to make a notation somewhere, or?
Yeah. Turns out the the contact that you've identified who can help you, the contact from the merchants area, who can help you bring down LaRose, is none other than Mr. Fitz himself.
Fitz. Remind me if you would.
That's Jenna's employer,
Oh God, yes. Okay.
and late of Tasho's patron as well.
Okay.
All right. So, this is the revelation that we see as we start to pull back out of the Silk Shore area and we leave the lair of the Eek, and we're going across the water and we're seeing the city recede in front of us as we can feel ourselves slowly but surely getting closer to the void sea, and then we're pulled down into the water. And so our tale draws to a close for now, but remember to tune in next time for Ring Down Below, presented by KMGX. Until next time, keep your eyes on the canals. We're on the prowl.